Chapter 1. Northern Desert Town, Mo Family Mansion, in a courtyard. I'm not dead. I Gucci am still alive. Haha. In a shabby hut, a young man was laughing happily on the bed. Li He Yang Yunfeng, Yi Feiyang, just you wait. I'll make you pay for all the harm you've done to me. Gucci was one of the 9 sovereigns of the Tianhan continent. He was also the youngest alchemy venerate. This is? After a brief moment of surprise, Gucci was a little puzzled as he observed his surroundings. He remembered that after he obtained the 9-pill transformation technique in the Heaven's Spirit Tomb, he was surrounded by 3 sovereigns and fell into the abyss of death. While Gucci was puzzled by the scene in front of him, a memory appeared in his mind. Great Yin Dynasty, Xia Country, Lianyun City, Northern Desert Town, Mo Family. The useless young master of the Mo family. Level 1 Illumination Martial Spirit. Trash Martial Spirit. Level 2 Body Tempering Realm. Caught molesting his fiancée, he was severely injured. Gucci slowly digested the memory. Caught molesting his fiancée, he was severely injured? After digesting the memory in his mind, Gucci frowned and pondered. According to the memory in his mind, Gucci knew that Mo Qingyun's fiancée, He Lingyu, was the daughter of the head of the He family, one of the 3 major families in Northern Desert Town. She had a level 7 White Phoenix martial spirit and was at level 6 Body Tempering Realm. With her cultivation and talent, was it possible for Mo Qingyun to molest her? As such, the hidden meaning behind this matter was something that one couldn't help but think about. Kid, it seems like you died an unjust death. Gucci sighed and said in a low voice, since I borrowed your body to be reborn, I, Gucci, owe you a favor. In return, I will take revenge for you. In addition, I, Gucci, will let your name, Mo Qingyun, shake the heavenly soul realm. But this level 1 martial spirit is indeed troublesome. Let's see what kind of martial spirit you have. Mo Qingyun had a headache about the talent of this body. A martial spirit was a reflection of a martial artist's talent. The level of a martial spirit basically determined the martial artist's future achievements. A level 1 martial spirit. If there were no accidents, he would be stuck at the body tempering realm. Then, Mo Qingyun summoned his martial soul. A red dragon shadow and a white door of light appeared above his head. Twin martial spirits. Mo Qingyun had never imagined he had 2 martial spirit. He was ecstatic. There were countless martial artists in the Tianhan continent, but the number of people who possessed twin martial souls could be counted on one hand. If nothing unexpected happened, people with twin martial spirits would be as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. This scarlet dragon shadow martial spirit was his martial spirit from his previous life, the scarlet flame heavenly dragon blood spirit. I didn't expect the scarlet flame heavenly dragon martial spirit to be reborn with me. If that's the case, cultivation talent will no longer be a problem. Mo Qingyun looked at the scarlet dragon shadow martial spirit in front of him and then looked at the white light gate martial spirit. He was puzzled and asked, but this white light gate martial spirit is, after looking at the martial spirit, even with Mo Qingyun's experience in his previous life, he couldn't tell the origin of the martial spirit. Forget it. I'll slowly study the origin of this martial spirit in the future. The most important thing now is to raise my cultivation. The second stage body tempering realm is too weak. Mo Qingyun wasn't used to the sudden change from the sovereign realm to the second stage body tempering realm. He desperately wanted to raise his cultivation. There were a total of 9 realms in the martial Tao: Body Tempering Realm, True Energy Realm, Origin Core Realm, Dan Palace Realm, Heaven Dipper Realm, Transcendent Realm, Supremacy Realm, and Sovereign Realm. With the Scarlet Heavenly Dragon Martial Spirit, even without the White Light Door Martial Spirit, I can still return to the Sovereign Realm in my previous life. Moreover, after practicing the 9 Pills Sky Transformation Technique, my strength can even improve. Mo Qingyun thought to himself, this body has already missed the best time to cultivate. If I want to raise my cultivation, I'll need to borrow some external force. Mo Qingyun sensed his own condition and a smile appeared on his face. This won't be a problem for me. I'll just need to prepare a few foundation-building elixirs to nourish my body. In his previous life, Mo Qingyun was the youngest alchemy venerable in the Tianhun continent. Preparing a few basic foundation-building elixirs was a piece of cake for him. Zhenling Workshop was the largest medicinal herb shop in northern Desert Town. Not only were the prices reasonable, but they also had a complete range of items. After arriving at northern Desert Town, Mo Qingyun rushed straight to the shop. Zhenling Workshop had a total of 3 floors. The first floor sold ordinary medicinal herbs, the second floor sold spiritual herbs, and the third floor sold spiritual pills. Mo Qingyun didn't need spiritual herbs and spiritual pills now. Of course, with Mo Qingyun's current wealth, he couldn't afford them. Therefore, Mo Qingyun mainly chose the items on the first floor. The first floor of Zhenling Workshop was very spacious. It was about a few hundred square meters and was divided into 4 areas. They were prescription collection area, exhibition area, medicine dispensing area, and medicine decoction area. The prescription collection area was where customers could write down their prescriptions or provide them with the ink and brush to write down their prescriptions. There was also a fee. The exhibition area was where all the medicinal herbs in Zhenling Workshop were displayed in front of the customers. The medicine dispensing area was responsible for filling up the prescriptions for customers who had already written down their prescriptions. As for the medicine decoction area, it was for customers who didn't want to decoct their prescriptions. The medicine decoction area was for customers who didn't want to decoct their prescriptions. After scanning the first floor of Zhenling Workshop, Mo Qingyun went to the prescription collection area and wrote down the required medicinal herbs. After paying the fee, Mo Qingyun took the prescription and went to the medicine dispensing area. This kid is too poor. He only bought 1 dose of foundation building elixir and he's already out of money. Looks like I have to find a way to make some money. After paying for the foundation building elixir, Mo Qingyun was vexed when he saw that he only had a few gold coins left in his pocket. Zhenling Workshop was very efficient. After a short while, Mo Qingyun's medicinal herbs were wrapped up. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun picked up the medicinal herbs and prepared to return to the Mo family. Oh, isn't this our Mo family's genius, young Master Qingyun? At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to leave Zhenling Workshop, a mocking voice came from outside. Then, Mo Qingyun saw a few young men walk in with mocking expressions and block Mo Qingyun's path. Mo Qingyun had some impression of these young men. The leader seemed to be called Mo Hai and was also part of the 3rd generation of the Mo family. His talent was slightly better than Mo Qingyun's. He had a 4th-grade Wind Wolf martial soul and was in the 4th-grade body tempering realm. However, although Mo Hai's talent was average, he was lucky to have a genius elder brother. Mo Hai's elder brother, Mo Tsang, was the Mo family's #1 genius. He had a level 10 Nether Tiger martial soul and was in the 9th-grade body tempering realm at the age of 18. Because Mo Hai relied on Mo Tsang's influence, he often bullied the younger generation of the Mo family. Mo Qingyun was one of them. According to the memories in his mind, Mo Qingyun knew that Mo Hai had bullied him a lot. Seeing that Mo Hai was blocking his path, Mo Qingyun's face darkened and he said, "A good dog doesn't block the way. Don't you understand?" After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Hai was stunned. He was surprised by Mo Qingyun's behavior today. In the past, Mo Qingyun would tremble in fear when he saw him. Under his bullying, Mo Qingyun would be submissive and not dare to resist. Today, Mo Qingyun was a little abnormal. "I haven't seen you for a few days and you've become so bold. How dare you speak to me like that?" After being stunned for a short while, Mo Hai looked coldly at Mo Qingyun and sneered, "Do you think that I can't teach you a lesson just because we're not allowed to fight in the Zhenling Plaza? Why don't you try?" Emo Chingyun didn't care about Emo Hai's threat at all and replied indifferently. Although he wasn't a supreme being now, he still had many ways to deal with Emo Hai, who was in the 4th grade body tempering realm, with his experience from his previous life. Seeing Emo Chingyun's current behavior, Emo Hai wasn't in a hurry to make a move. He smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry. The clan's monthly test is in 3 days. I'll teach you a lesson then." Chapter 2. At Emo Qingyun's residence. Mo Qingyun took out the herbs he bought from Zhen Ling workshop one by one and placed them neatly to the side. Then, he searched around his residence and found a porcelain jar. "My current condition is limited, so I can only make do with a porcelain jar." Looking at the porcelain jar in front of him, Emo Qingyun sighed and said, "This kid is too poor. He doesn't even have anything decent in his house. Is he really a direct descendant of the Emo clan? It seems that I have to rely on myself to have enough food and clothing." Emo Qingyun sighed again. After sighing, Emo Qingyun placed the porcelain jar on the stove and started to boil the foundation building liquid. As time passed, Mo Qingyun placed the herbs he bought from Zhen Ling workshop into the porcelain jar in an orderly manner. After a few hours, a medicinal fragrance wafted out from the jar. This was the sign that the medicine was ready. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun took the porcelain jar off the stove and poured the foundation building liquid into a bathtub filled with water. Once the foundation building liquid was poured into the bathtub, the originally clear water in the bathtub turned dark green in the blink of an eye. After seeing this, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated and jumped into the bathtub to start cultivating. The body tempering realm was mainly about tempering the body and strengthening the body. Therefore, Emo Qingyun chose to cultivate by taking a medicinal bath. This way, the effect of absorbing the foundation building liquid would be better and faster. After entering the wooden tub, Emo Qingyun felt a warm current wrap around his body as if it was giving him a massage. After a few hours, under Emo Qingyun's cultivation, the color of the water in the bathtub returned to its original clear state. Body tempering stage 3. At this moment, Emo Qingyun opened his eyes and a trace of joy appeared on his face. "It's a pity that I don't have any more foundation building liquid. Otherwise, my cultivation should be able to reach body tempering stage 4 in 3 days. Thinking of this, Emo Qingyun felt a little helpless inside. "I have to think of a way to earn money to buy herbs and elixirs. Without them, my cultivation progress will be much slower. Oh right, I haven't received my monthly allowance of 1,000 gold coins yet." Emo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat. He stood up and walked towards the Emo family's accounting room. Every month, the Emo family would give the younger generation a certain amount of allowance to provide for their cultivation need. Ordinary family juniors could receive a monthly allowance of 100 gold coins, while direct descendants could receive a monthly allowance of 1,000 gold coins. Emo Qingyun, as a direct descendant of the family, received a monthly allowance of 1,000 gold coins. To the current Emo Qingyun, this was not a small fortune. With the help of 1,000 gold coins, Emo Qingyun was confident that he would be able to reach the 4th layer of body tempering realm within 3 days. The accountant's office was not far from Emo Qingyun's residence. It was situated between the inner and outer clans of the Emo family. A few minutes later, Emo Qingyun arrived at the accountant's office. "Look, it's that trash Emo Qingyun. Take a guess, how much will he receive this time?" "In my opinion, he won't be able to receive a single gold coin. He will even be taught a lesson." "It's unlikely that he will be taught a lesson, but it's certain that his monthly allowance will be deducted. Manager who is famous for his embezzlement." "Shh. Lower your voice. Manager who is the elder brother of the 7th elder's concubine. It's not something we can comment on." Seeing Emo Qingyun approaching, the Emo family juniors in the accountant's office whispered to each other, taking pleasure in his misfortune. Emo Qingyun did not know what the crowd was thinking. After arriving at the accountant's office, he directly walked in. "Manager, I'm here to receive my monthly allowance," Mo Qingyun said indifferently as he walked over to the accountant, Manager Hu. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Manager Hu looked at him with disdain. He took out 10 gold coins and threw them in front of Mo Qingyun. 10 gold coins? Seeing this, Mo Qingyun furrowed his eyebrows and revealed a shocked expression. He was a direct descendant of the Mo family. Logically speaking, he should receive 1,000 gold coins as a monthly allowance. At this moment, this Manager Hu actually only gave him 10 gold coins. This was truly too excessive. Mo Qingyun's tone was slightly cold as he said, "Manager Hu, my monthly allowance is not right? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Manager Hu raised his eyebrows and looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain. "You think it's too little?" Following this, Manager Hu raised his hand and took back the 10 gold coins that he threw in front of Mo Qingyun. He said unhappily, "You don't have it for this month. You can get lost now. No more." Mo Qingyun's face sank when he saw Steward Hu's actions. He shouted, "Steward Hu, how dare you embezzle the monthly allowance of the clan's juniors? Do you know what kind of punishment you will receive?" Did I hear wrongly? This trash actually dares to scold Manager Hu? Last time, there was a guy who contradicted Manager Hu and had his legs broken by Manager Hu. This trash is doomed. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the surrounding crowd's expression changed. They were extremely shocked and could not believe their ears. Mo Qingyun actually dared to scold Manager Hu. Was he crazy? Punish me? It seems that I am usually too kind. Even a trash like you dares to speak to me in such a manner. Manager Hu looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain and sneered. "Now, kneel down, kowtow and admit your mistake. Slap yourself 100 times and then get out of the accounting room. Don't appear in my sight again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Kowtow and admit my mistake? Slap myself?" Hearing Manager Hu's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes narrowed. He looked coldly at Manager Hu and said, "I will give you a chance now. Kneel down, kowtow and admit your mistake. Slap yourself 1,000 times and then get lost to the law enforcement hall to admit your mistake. I can spare your worthless life. Brat, you're courting death." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Manager Hu was instantly enraged. He raised his hand and attacked Mo Qingyun. Even though Manager Hu was the accountant, his strength was not strong. He was only at the 4th layer of body tempering realm. Furthermore, his martial spirit was also very ordinary. It was only a 3rd-grade mountain antelope martial spirit. Even so, it was still enough to deal with the previous Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was done for. Seeing Manager Hu make his move, the surrounding juniors showed sympathy and looked at Mo Qingyun. With Mo Qingyun's 2nd-layer body tempering realm cultivation and a 1st-grade trash martial spirit, it was impossible for him to be Manager Hu's opponent. If Mo Qingyun was hit by Manager Hu's palm, he would be bedridden for a few months. Bang! Just when everyone thought that Mo Qingyun was sent flying by Manager Hu's palm and was severely injured. Instead, they saw Manager Hu's fat body being sent flying by Mo Qingyun's kick. With Mo Qingyun's experience as a sovereign realm expert from his previous life, it was very easy for him to break Manager Hu's attack. After sending Steward Hu flying with a kick, Mo Qingyun did not stop. He once again attacked Steward Hu, raising his leg to give Steward Hu a fierce kick. Ao. Under Mo Qingyun's fierce kicks, Manager Hu let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered. In an instant, his face was swollen like a pig's head. After seeing this scene, the surrounding people were completely dumbfounded. Am I seeing things? Mo Qingyun is beating up Manager Hu. Manager Hu is at the 4th layer of body tempering realm. Furthermore, he has a 3rd-grade mountain antelope martial spirit. How could Mo Qingyun defeat him? They could not believe this scene. The one being beaten up was actually Manager Hu. Was Manager Hu really at the 4th layer of body tempering realm? When did a fourth layer of body tempering realm become so weak that he could be beaten up by a second layer body tempering realm trash? Furthermore, the entire process of Manager Who's defeat only took one move. Manager Who was at the fourth layer of body tempering realm, was defeated in one move. When did Mo Qingyun become so powerful? Chapter 3. Little bastard, you actually dared to hit the clan's steward. Just you wait to be punished by the clan. After receiving Mo Qingyun's continuous kicks, Steward Whose expression was ferocious as he gnashed his teeth and shouted, "Steward? Clan punishment?" Hearing Steward Whose words, the corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up. He laughed and said, "You think too highly of yourself. You're just a servant of the Mo clan, a dog. How could the master be punished for hitting a dog?" As he spoke, Mo Qingyun's foot movements became heavier. It was unknown whether it was intentional or coincidental, but when Mo Qingyun's foot landed, it just so happened to land on Steward Whose manhood. Ow! Under Mo Qingyun's kick, Steward Whose body immediately curled up like a prawn. He begged for mercy. "Young Master Qingyun, no, little ancestor Qingyun, I was wrong. I'll give you all of your monthly allowance, please don't hit me anymore." "Then will I still be punished by the clan?" Mo Qingyun asked with a playful smile. No, I won't mention this matter. I'm just a servant of the Mo clan, a dog. It's only right for the master to hit a dog, it's only right." Steward Who smiled apologetically. "At least you know your place." Seeing that Steward Who had given in, Mo Qingyun ruthlessly kicked him twice more before revealing a satisfied smile. He no longer continued to beat Steward Who. Following this, Steward Who handed Mo Qingyun's monthly allowance, not missing a single cent, to Mo Qingyun's hands. At this moment, Steward Whose gaze towards Mo Qingyun was clearly filled with reverence. However, if one observed carefully, one could still see a trace of resentment in his eyes. However, Mo Qingyun did not care about this. With this monthly allowance, his strength would be able to take another step forward. At that time, Steward Who would not be a problem. With this monthly allowance, body tempering stage 4 should not be a problem. Looking at the monthly payment in his hand, Mo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction and left the accounting room. "Little bastard, I won't let this matter rest. This time, your sneak attack succeeded. Next time, I definitely won't let you succeed." Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was gradually walking away, Manager Who mustered up his courage and shouted at Mo Qingyun's back. "Sneak attack?" Hearing Caretaker Whose words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and ignored him. Was it really a sneak attack? Perhaps only Steward Who himself knew best. Moments later, as Mo Qingyun walked off into the distance, a commotion broke out in the accounting room. "I didn't see wrongly, did I?" Mo Qingyun just beat up Steward Who and even got all of his monthly allowance. When did Mo Qingyun become so powerful? Even Steward Who is no match for him. Is this still that trash Mo Qingyun? After Mo Qingyun walked away, the juniors in the accounting room could not calm down for a long time. After leaving the accounting room, Mo Qingyun did not return to his residence. Instead, he went straight to Zhenling workshop. There are only 3 days left until the monthly test. Are you guys ready? We've been ready for a long time. I also heard that there's a change in the monthly test. The top 10 will be rewarded by the clan. I also heard that the ordinary and elite juniors will compete separately. The first place will be rewarded with 10,000 gold coins. As Mo Qingyun walked out of the Mo residence, he overheard the conversation of the juniors. Reward? 10,000 gold coins? Hearing the conversation, Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up. He was looking forward to the monthly test. When he heard Mo Hai say that he would teach him a lesson during the monthly test, he did not pay much attention to it. He did not expect that the first place in the monthly test would be rewarded with 10,000 gold coins. If that was the case, he could not miss out on it. I must get first place in the monthly test. Mo Qingyun clenched his fists and made up his mind. He was in need of money now. If he could get first place in the monthly test, he would be rewarded with 10,000 gold coins. If he could get first place in the monthly test, he could buy herbs and elixirs to help him cultivate. Perhaps he could raise his cultivation all the way to the 6th stage of body tempering realm. That caretaker who is only at the 4th stage of body tempering realm. He did not summon his martial soul or use any martial skills during the fight. His battle strength is not strong. The people in the monthly test should be stronger than this. Mo Qingyun thought to himself about the strength of his opponents in the monthly test. Also, Mo Hai's elder brother is the number 1 genius of the Mo clan. He should have given Mo Hai some trump cards. I have to pay attention to these. Although Mo Qingyun had absolute confidence in his own strength, he would not be careless. This monthly test was very important to him. He did not want to make any mistakes. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived at Zhenling workshop. After entering Zhenling workshop, Mo Qingyun wrote down the prescription with ease, paid the fee, and got the herbs. After getting 3 doses of foundation establishment elixir, his pocket returned to its original state. Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh. I'm poor again. Money really doesn't last. I must get first place in the monthly test. Mo Qingyun made up his mind again. He must get first place in the monthly test. After a while, Mo Qingyun saw that the herbs for the 3 doses of foundation establishment elixir had been prepared. He got up and walked out of Zhenling workshop after taking the medicine from the counter staff. However, just as Mo Qingyun was about to leave Zhenling workshop, there was a commotion outside. A young man and a young lady were escorted by a few young men as they walked towards Zhenling workshop like stars surrounding the moon. When Mo Qingyun saw the 2 of them, a tyrannical rage inexplicably rose in his heart. The young lady in front of him was none other than his fiancée, He Lingyu. Now she was standing intimately with someone else. As for the young man beside her, he was the one who had accused Mo Qingyun of molesting He Lingyu. He was also the one who had severely injured Mo Qingyun. Now that the 2 of them were standing together, it went without saying that they were having an affair. However, the young man in front of him was not an ordinary person. He was the top genius of the Song family, one of the 3 big families in Beima Town, Song Zihao. Song Zihao had a level 10 red thunder toad martial soul, and his cultivation had reached body tempering stage 9. Mo Qingyun could not compare to him now. You piece of trash. How dare you show yourself after doing such a despicable thing to Miss Lingyu? Song Zihao looked coldly at Mo Qingyun and said coldly, kneel down now and kowtow to Miss Lingyu. Then, break one of your arms and I won't make things difficult for you. Break one of my arms and kowtow to apologize? Hearing Song Zihao's words, Mo Qingyun's face darkened. He looked coldly at Song Zihao, and a trace of killing intent rose in him. Not only had Song Zihao killed his predecessor, he even wanted to trample on him to please He Lingyu. This wasn't something Mo Qingyun could accept. Now I'm telling you too. From today onwards, get lost from He Lingyu's side. Otherwise, I'll wipe out your entire Song family one day, Mo Qingyun said arrogantly. You're courting death. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Song Zihao was instantly enraged. He raised his hand and punched at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not expect Song Zihao to be so decisive and attack him directly. With Song Zihao's cultivation at body tempering stage 9, even if he was a reincarnated supreme being, it would be troublesome to deal with him. Fortunately, Song Zihao was not a true energy realm expert. Although it was troublesome to deal with him, he could not do anything to him. Seeing Song Zihao's attack, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hesitate. He immediately dodged to the side. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun dodged Song Zihao's attack, a blue figure blocked in front of him. Bang! Then, a dull sound was heard. Song Zihao and the blue figure both took a few steps back. Song Zihao, It's not up to you to bully the Mo family. After blocking Song Ziheo's attack, the blue figure lifted her chin and looked at Song Ziheo coldly. Moxian, don't be a busybody. You're getting yourself into trouble because of a piece of trash. After seeing the blue figure clearly, Song Ziheo's face darkened, and he said coldly. Moxian was also one of the younger generation of the Mo family. She had a level 9 flaming sparrow martial soul and a cultivation at body tempering stage 10. If I'm going to interfere? Moxian said nonchalantly. Gentlemen, private fights are not allowed in Zhenling workshop. I hope you can cooperate. At this moment, when Song Ziheo and the rest were about to fight, an old man walked out of Zhenling workshop. Yes, caretaker you. Hearing the old man's words, Song Ziheo and the rest nodded. Song Ziheo and the rest were wary of caretaker you. This old man was one of the few experts in Beima town. He was an advanced true energy realm expert. Seeing their responses, Manager Yu nodded in satisfaction and walked back into the Zhenling workshop. Moxian, I'll remember what happened today. I'll get back at you on the day of the town meeting next year. Chapter 4. Thank you for your help, Sister Moxian. After Song Ziheo and the others left, Mo Qingyun cupped his hands and thanked Moxian. In the Mo clan, there weren't many people who truly cared about Mo Qingyun, and Moxian was one of them. Brat, why are you being so courteous with me? When she saw Mo Qingyun's actions, Moxian puffed out her chest and rebuked Mo Qingyun, and then she said, however, you're really bold, kid. You actually dared to speak to Song Ziheo like this. Song Ziheo is a figure that even I have to fear slightly. Now that you've offended him, I'm afraid he won't let it go. You have to be careful in the future. Moxian said with concern. I'll be careful in the future. Mo Qingyun responded to Moxian's concern with a faint smile and asked, Sister Moxian, are you here to buy elixirs? Moxian waved her hand and said, I'm here to look for you. I went to your place just now, but you weren't there. Then I heard that you came to Zhenling Plaza, so I rushed over. Mo Qingyun asked, Sister Moxian, are you looking for me for something? Can't I look for you for nothing? Moxian rolled her eyes at Mo Qingyun and took out a jade bottle. She handed it to Mo Qingyun and said, Here, this is from Fourth Uncle. Fourth Uncle gave it to me? Mo Qingyun was stunned. He took the jade bottle from Moxian and opened it. Inside the jade bottle was some milky white liquid that was crystal clear. Seeing the milky white liquid, Mo Qingyun was shocked and a trace of surprise rose in his heart. This was glazed rock milk, which had the effect of cleansing the marrow and strengthening the physique of a body-tempering realm martial artist. Fourth Uncle is so biased. He actually gave you glazed rock milk. Seeing the glazed rock milk in the jade bottle, Moxian pursed her lips and blinked her big eyes. She was a little envious. Sister Moxian, this glazed rock milk is also useful to you. Why don't I give you half? After seeing Moxian's expression, Mo Qingyun paused. However, when Moxian heard his words, she smiled sweetly and said, No need, I'm already at tempered body 10th layer. This glazed stone milk has little effect on me. Furthermore, Fourth Uncle gave me this. As she spoke, Moxian took out a jade bottle, opened it, and handed it to Mo Qingyun. Energy gathering pill. Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly when he saw the pills in the jade bottle in Moxian's hand. He sighed inwardly. Fourth Uncle is really generous. The energy-gathering pill could increase a body-tempering martial artist's chances of breaking through to the true energy realm by 50%, and there were no side effects. In comparison, the value of this chi-amassing pill was no less than the glazed stone milk. Sister Moxian, let's go back. Seeing that everything was fine, Mo Qingyun said to Moxian, All right. Moxian nodded. She curiously looked at the medicine in Mo Qingyun's hand and asked, Qingyun, what's that in your hand? Foundation Establishment Elixir. It can temper the body and increase the cultivation speed of the body tempering realm. Mo Qingyun didn't hide anything and answered truthfully. Foundation Establishment Elixir? Mo Xian was stunned. Her eyes were filled with doubt as she asked, "How come I've never heard of it? Where did you hear about it?" Seeing Mo Xian's expression, Mo Qingyun laughed and said, "It's normal that you haven't heard of it because I concocted it." "You concocted it?" Mo Xian was shocked. She looked at Mo Qingyun as if she had discovered a new continent. She didn't expect that the Foundation Establishment Elixir in Mo Qingyun's hand was actually concocted by Mo Qingyun himself. "Sister Mo Xian, do you want one?" Mo Qingyun didn't care about Mo Xian's shock. He pointed at the medicine in his hand and asked, "No, no need, I still want to live for a few more years." Hearing this, Mo Xian hurriedly waved her hand and shook her head. "I advise you not to try this Foundation Establishment Elixir. Just hearing the name makes me feel that it's not reliable. Your third uncle's only son, don't let anything happen to you." "I'll be careful." Seeing that Mo Xian had misunderstood his meaning and didn't want to accept the Foundation Establishment Elixir, Mo Qingyun didn't explain further. He couldn't possibly tell Mo Xian that he was a reincarnated sovereign, and that he was once the youngest pill sovereign on the Tianhun continent. Afterwards, Mo Qingyun and Mo Xian returned to the Mo family. After returning to the Mo family, Mo Qingyun and Mo Xian went their separate ways and returned to their residence. Back at his residence, Mo Qingyun took out the ingredients he had bought from Zhen Ling workshop and began to concoct the Foundation Establishment Elixir. About an hour later, the Foundation Establishment Elixir was complete. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun poured the Foundation Establishment Elixir into the bathtub and jumped into it. He began to absorb the Foundation Establishment Elixir and began to cultivate. The next day, when the sun was rising, the Foundation Establishment Elixir in the bathtub was once again absorbed by Mo Qingyun. At this moment, Mo Qingyun opened his eyes, and his face was filled with joy. After absorbing the third Foundation Establishment Elixir from Zhen Ling workshop, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had finally entered body tempering stage 4. Body tempering stage 4. Seeing that his cultivation had broken through, Mo Qingyun smiled and said, "This way, I'll have more confidence in the monthly test. Now that I've used up all the Foundation Establishment Elixir, it's impossible to continue increasing my cultivation. However, I can still refine the glazed stalactite." With this thought, Mo Qingyun took out the glazed stalactite and swallowed it, beginning to refine it. Once the glazed stalactite entered his stomach, it turned into a clear stream and circulated in Mo Qingyun's meridians, emitting a trace of coolness. As the glazed stalactite was refined, Mo Qingyun felt waves of soreness and swelling in his body. He knew that this was the effect of the glazed stalactite. While feeling the soreness and swelling, Mo Qingyun could also feel that his physical strength was slowly strengthening. A few hours later, the soreness and swelling finally subsided. Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating. He knew that the glazed stalactite had been completely refined by him. At the same time, Mo Qingyun saw some black filth flowing out of his skin and pores. These were the impurities that were expelled from his body after the glazed stalactite strengthened his physique. After the glazed stalactite strengthening, my current physique should be comparable to a body tempering stage 6 cultivator. After feeling the strength of his body, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied expression and jumped into the bathtub to wash up. After the glazed stalactite strengthening, I'll increase my strength in the upcoming monthly test. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun began to look forward to the monthly test in 2 days. The next day, in Mo Xian's residence in the Mo family mansion. Fourth uncle, father. Mo Xian walked out of the house and greeted Mo Feiping and Mo Feilin, who were sitting in the small courtyard. When Mo Feilin saw Mo Xian, He smiled faintly and asked, "Xnr, did Qin Yun accept the glazed stalactite?" "I gave it to him yesterday," Moxian replied. Moxian replied and paused for a moment before continuing. "Also, when I found Qin Yun at Zhen Ling Fong yesterday, I just happened to see Song Zihao attacking him." "Song Zihao? Is he the number 1 junior in the Song family?" When Mo Faping heard his daughter's words, he frowned and asked with concern, "Is Qin Yun injured?" "No, I arrived just in time," Moxian said with lingering fear. "If I had arrived a little later, I'm afraid that he would have been in trouble." "That's good." Mo Failin and Mo Faping heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. "Father, fourth uncle, when I was talking to Qin Yun yesterday, I heard him say that he was concocting some kind of foundation establishment elixir. I was worried that he would try it himself and make a mistake." Moxian said worriedly when she thought of the foundation establishment elixir that Mo Qin Yun mentioned. "Nonsense, this is simply nonsense." Mo Faping's face turned serious when he heard Moxian's words. He said in a deep voice, "How can the elixir be tested casually? We have to stop him immediately." Chapter 5. After a short while, Mo Faping and the other two hurriedly arrived at Mo Qin Yun's residence. "Eldest uncle, fourth uncle, big sister Moxian, why are you here?" Mo Qin Yun was slightly surprised when he saw Mo Faping and the other two. Seeing that Mo Qin Yun was fine, Mo Faping and the other two relaxed and put down the stone that was hanging in their hearts. "Brat, of course we're here. Otherwise, who knows what kind of trouble you'll cause." Mo Faping's face was serious as he reprimanded Mo Qin Yun. He raised his hand towards Mo Qin Yun and said, "Immediately give me that foundation establishment elixir. How can you casually try this elixir? If something happens to you because of this, how am I going to explain it to third brother? You little monkey, you've gone too far this time. I can't help you." Mo Failin chuckled, glanced at Mo Qin Yun dotingly, then spread his hands and said helplessly, "Don't worry. Foundation establishment elixir?" After hearing Mo Faping's words, Mo Qin Yun's expression froze. He knew why the three of them were here. Then, Mo Qin Yun looked towards Moxian. Seeing Mo Qin Yun looking at her, Moxian stuck out her tongue and said, "Qin Yun, you should give that foundation establishment elixir to father. You can't casually try it." Seeing the three's reaction, Mo Qin Yun smiled bitterly. Although he knew that they were doing this out of concern for him, he still felt a little depressed in his heart. To think that a foundation establishment elixir that he, a dignified pill venerate, would be suspected by others. If this matter was known by those who were familiar with him, they would probably be scared to death. I've already absorbed the foundation establishment elixir." Mo Qin Yun revealed an innocent expression and said guiltily, "What? Absorbed?" After hearing Mo Qin Yun's words, Mo Faping and the other two's expressions changed and their hearts jumped. Mo Failin hurriedly asked with concern, "Then do you feel any discomfort?" "Fourth uncle, eldest uncle, big sister Moxian, don't worry, I don't feel any discomfort." Mo Qin Yun's heart was warmed by Mo Failin's concern. He smiled and said, "On the contrary, my cultivation broke through to the fourth layer of the body-tempering realm after absorbing the foundation-building liquid." His cultivation had broken through to the fourth layer of body-tempering realm. Hearing Mo Qin Yun's words, Mo Faping and the other two were dumbfounded. Their eyes widened as they stared at Mo Qin Yun, speechless for a long time. Could it be that Mo Qin Yun had succeeded? Was he really able to concoct a foundation establishment liquid? "Punch me with all your strength," Mo Faping said excitedly to Mo Qin Yun after recovering from his momentary shock. "All right." Hearing this, Mo Qin Yun did not hesitate. He raised his hand and punched at Mo Faping with all his might. Bang! Then, Mo Qin Yun's fist landed on Mo Faping's palm, and a muffled sound rang out. It is indeed the strength of a fourth-layer body-tempering realm cultivator. Moreover, it seems to be approaching the fifth-layer body-tempering realm. After feeling the strength of Mo Qingyun's punch, Mo Feipeng's face was filled with shock. His heart could not calm down for a long time. Then, Mo Feipeng walked to Mo Qingyun's side and examined Mo Qingyun from head to toe. He even raised his hand to touch Mo Qingyun's body from time to time. If he did not know that Mo Feipeng was concerned about him, Mo Qingyun would have suspected that Mo Feipeng had a special hobby. After examining Mo Qingyun and seeing that he was fine, Mo Feipeng's face was filled with ecstasy. He laughed and said, "Ha ha! Good kid, you are indeed third brother's son. You are indeed extraordinary." Seeing Mo Feipeng's reaction, Mo Feilin was still worried. He asked, "Big brother, is Qingyun really alright?" "He's fine, this kid's physique is very good now." Mo Feipeng waved his hand and smiled, indicating that Mo Feilin did not need to worry. In that case, this little monkey has profited from a disaster? Seeing this, Mo Feilin's expression relaxed again, and he smiled. "In theory, that is the case." Mo Feipeng nodded and smiled. However, his expression quickly became serious again. He said to Mo Qingyun in a deep voice, "You are lucky this time. You have profited from a disaster. Next time, do not try to concoct medicine carelessly. Do you understand?" "I understand, first uncle." After hearing Mo Feipeng's words, Mo Qingyun smiled bitterly and nodded helplessly. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was fine, Mo Feipeng and the rest were relieved. Then, after giving Mo Qingyun some instructions, Mo Feipeng and Mo Xian left first. "Little monkey, how about having a few drinks with fourth uncle?" After Mo Feipeng and Mo Xian left, Mo Feilin smiled and asked Mo Qingyun. "Sure." Mo Qingyun nodded in response. Then, Mo Qingyun followed Mo Feilin to northern desert town. They found a tavern and sat down. After arriving at the tavern, Mo Feilin ordered a few dishes and 2 jars of wine. He started drinking with Mo Qingyun. "How have you been in the family recently? Did that brat bully you? Tell fourth uncle, I will teach him a lesson." Mo Feilin took a sip and said calmly, "I can eat, drink, and sleep well. Not bad." Mo Qingyun also smiled faintly. After replying, he said, "As for the people who bullied me, it's better for me to get back at them myself. It's too shameful to ask Sir to stand up for me after being bullied." "Haha, it is good that you can think this way." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Feilin laughed. After chatting with Mo Feilin for a while, Mo Qingyun thought about his parents. He had not seen them since his rebirth. Mo Qingyun was very curious about their situation. He could not help but ask, "Fourth uncle, my parents?" After hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Mo Feilin fell silent for a while and said, "Qingyun, don't ask about your parents for now. When the time is right, we will tell you." After hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Qingyun fell silent and did not ask any more questions. He felt that the matter about his parents was not as simple as it seemed. As Mo Qingyun chatted with Mo Feilin, the relationship between uncle and nephew became much closer. "Little monkey, the monthly test is the day after tomorrow. If you perform well and get a good ranking, fourth uncle will bring you something good the next time I come back from Lianyun City." Mo Feilin took another sip of wine and encouraged Mo Qingyun. "Fourth uncle, don't worry. I will definitely get a good result the day after tomorrow." Mo Qingyun promised with a serious face. Mo Feilin laughed again and said, "Hee, looks like you are very confident. How about this? If you can get into the top 10, I will bring you to Lianyun City next time. How about that?" "Top 10? Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment, then he revealed a playful smile. Being in the top 10 was not his goal. However, Mo Qingyun did not say much. Instead, he smiled faintly at Mo Feilin and said, "Fourth uncle, are you serious?" "Of course. Do you have the confidence to get into the top 10? Mo Feilin asked with interest. It's a secret. Mo Qingyun chuckled and said, Little monkey, you are still acting like this with your fourth uncle. After hearing this, Mo Feilin laughed and patted Mo Qingyun's head. Mo Qingyun laughed teasingly and said, Fourth uncle, when are you going to find us a fourth aunt? Fourth aunt? Mo Feilin was stunned. Then, he revealed a tinge of sadness and fell silent for a moment. After a short moment of silence, Mo Feilin regained his composure. He stared at Mo Qingyun and said, You little monkey, how dare you tease your fourth uncle? Do you want me to give you some bones? No. No need, he. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun quickly laughed and waved his hand. Then, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin drank for a while more before the two of them returned to the Mo family. After returning to the Mo family, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin went back to their respective residences. Chapter 6. Since I can't increase my cultivation, I can practice martial skills. After some thought, Mo Qingyun decided on the main points of his training. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and started to choose a martial skill to practice. My cultivation is too low right now, so there are many martial skills that I can't practice. Even if I practice an offensive martial skill, it won't cause much damage to the opponent. If that's the case, I can start with a movement martial skill. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun finally decided on the direction of his cultivation. He planned to practice his body movement technique. According to Mo Qingyun's thoughts, the monthly examinations sparring wouldn't only have one match. This was actually a battle of endurance, so a head-on clash wasn't the way to go. Thus, a movement martial skill was even more important. If the opponent couldn't hit you, then you could ensure that you wouldn't be injured. This way, you could always maintain your peak condition. Martial skills were divided into 4 grades: Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow. Swift Shadow Steps, a high-tier black rank martial skill. When practiced to its peak, it could follow the opponent like a shadow, making it impossible to escape. Swift Shadow Steps, I'll choose you. After a round of selection, Mo Qingyun finally decided to cultivate the Swift Shadow Steps martial skill. Compared to other movement techniques, Swift Shadow Steps was much easier to learn, and it was much easier to display its essence. After deciding on the martial skill to practice, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and started to practice. Wind with every step, swift as a whirlwind, chasing the wind, following the scenery like a shadow in the small courtyard, Mo Qingyun patiently practiced the Swift Shadow Steps over and over again. In his previous life, Mo Qingyun had already practiced the Swift Shadow Steps to the profound level. Now that he was practicing it again, it could be said that he improved by leaps and bounds. Martial skills were divided into 6 levels: Entry, Small Success, Large Success, Perfection, Essence, and Profound. In a short period of time, Mo Qingyun had already comprehended the essence of the Swift Shadow Step. When he used it, it was like moving clouds and flowing water. His movements were like the wind and shadow. No matter how you looked at it, you could only see an afterimage flashing in the courtyard. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. After 2 days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun's fleeting shadow steps had already been cultivated to perfection. In addition, after 2 days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had also improved slightly. Even though he was still far from breaking through to tempered body 5th layer, compared to 2 days ago, there was still a huge improvement. In addition, after Mo Qingyun cultivated the Swift Shadow Steps to perfection, he took the time to cultivate an offensive martial skill, the 9-stage collapse. The 9 heavy collapse was a low-tier earth-grade martial skill, and it required the assistance of true qi to execute. Since Mo Qingyun was only at the body-tempering realm, he did not have any true qi in his body. Therefore, Mo Qingyun had only cultivated the 9-stage collapse to the entry level. Even so, its power was comparable to an ordinary low-tier profound-grade martial skill. Today was the day of the Mo family's monthly trial, to test the progress of the younger generation in the past month. The sun had just risen, and the Mo family's practice field was already filled with people. There were seniors and juniors. Look, that's Mo Shao. I heard that a few days ago, he killed a fifth-layer body-tempering realm demonic beast by himself. Even though Mo Shao is strong, Mo Lin is not weak either. I heard that Mo Lin could have broken through to the fifth-layer body-tempering realm long ago. The reason why he is still at the fourth-layer body-tempering realm is because of this monthly trial. I heard that Mo Hai obtained a low-tier profound-grade martial skill, and he has already cultivated it to the initial stage. His battle strength is extraordinary. As the juniors entered the practice field, they whispered to each other, discussing who had the highest chance of entering the top 10. In this monthly trial, the strength of the ordinary juniors is not bad. A few of them have the ability to break through to the fifth-layer body-tempering realm. Compared to the previous years, this year's trial can be considered the strongest in history. I'm afraid there will be a fierce battle later. Mo Hai, Mo Lin, Mo Shao, Mo Bing, and Mo Ding are all very good. They are all candidates for the top 10. Looking at the juniors in the middle of the practice field, the elders at the judges' table smiled with satisfaction. Meanwhile, Mo Qingyun had arrived at the martial practice grounds while it was bustling with noise. Fourth uncle, eldest uncle, uncles, elders. After arriving at the practice field, Mo Qingyun bowed to the elders at the judges' table. Qingyun, the juniors in this monthly trial are all very strong. Are you still confident that you can enter the top 10? Seeing Mo Qingyun arrive, Mo Feilin smiled and asked, Top 10? When Mo Feilin mentioned the top 10 again, Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment. Top 10? That was not his goal. Seeing Mo Qingyun's stunned expression, Mo Feilin thought that Mo Qingyun was not confident of entering the top 10. Hence, he said, it's indeed difficult for you to enter the top 10. How about this, as long as you enter the top 15, we will still keep our promise. Top 15? Hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Qingyun was stunned again. Then, he smiled bitterly. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Mo Feilin thought that Mo Qingyun was still not confident of entering the top 15. He said helplessly, if you are not confident of entering the top 15, then entering the top 20 shouldn't be a problem. As long as you enter the top 20, we will still keep our promise. How about that? Seeing Mo Feilin take a step back again, Mo Qingyun was speechless. So, Mo Feilin was not even confident that he could enter the top 20 in the monthly trial. However, Mo Qingyun did not say much about it. After all, he would be able to prove it with his actions soon. Seeing that Mo Qingyun did not say much, Mo Feilin smiled faintly and said, We are about to draw lots. Go and line up. Perform well. Okay. Hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and walked towards the juniors in the middle of the training field. At this moment, after Mo Qingyun walked into the group of juniors, Mo Hai's expression darkened. He looked at Mo Qingyun and sneered, Mo Qingyun, I hope you don't meet me during the monthly trial. Otherwise, I will break your legs. Break my legs? Mo Qingyun's face darkened when he heard Mo Hai's words. His gaze turned cold as he replied, You'd better not let me touch you. Otherwise, not only will I break your legs, but I'll also break your arms. Humph. You have quite a sharp tongue. I hope that when you are on the stage later, your strength will be as sharp as your mouth. Mo Hai snorted coldly and said through gritted teeth. Brother Hai, don't be angry. From what I see, Mo Qingyun can't even enter the top 50. You don't even have a chance. Brother Hai, don't worry. If I meet Mo Qingyun later, I will break his legs for you. You don't have to do anything. That's right. Brother Hai, it's not worth getting angry over a piece of trash. Your goal is to get first place in the monthly trial. When they saw Mo Hai's expression, a few of his lackeys said fawningly to him. After seeing their reactions, Mo Qingyun looked at them meaningfully. He made a decision in his heart. If he met them, he wouldn't mind teaching them a lesson. Everyone is here. Next, we will draw lots to choose our opponent. At this moment, one of the elders in the judging panel walked in and shouted to the juniors in the middle of the training field. Chapter 7. Number 16. Following the crowd, Mo Qingyun walked up to the judging panel and drew a number. There were a total of 20 arenas in the monthly test. 10 arenas for the ordinary and elite juniors. Every time, 10 groups would fight at the same time. Mo Qingyun's number was 16. His fight was in the second round in arena number 6. After the numbers were drawn, the contestants for the first round entered their respective arenas. In the first round, there were 2 seeded contestants, Mo Hai and Mo Xiao. Mo Hai's opponent was Mo Ping, who was at the late stage of body tempering stage 3. When Mo Ping saw that his opponent was Mo Hai, his face turned pale and his expression turned ugly. Mo Hai was one of the seeded contestants for the monthly test. He was unlucky to meet Mo Hai in the first round. Otherwise, with his strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to pass the third round. Although he knew that he wasn't Mo Hai's opponent, Mo Ping wasn't willing to admit defeat. Once the battle started, Mo Ping gritted his teeth and rushed towards Mo Hai. He raised his fist and punched at Mo Hai. Looking at his stance, it seemed like he was going to make the first move. However, when Mo Hai saw Mo Ping's attack, he smiled disdainfully and said, "You're too weak." As he spoke, Mo Hai threw a punch at Mo Ping to meet Mo Ping's punch. Crack! The crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. Mo Ping's body flew backwards, heavily injured. With one punch, he defeated Mo Ping, who was at the late stage of body tempering stage 3. No wonder Mo Hai was one of the seeded contestants for the monthly test. While Mo Hai was fighting, Mo Xiao was also fighting his opponent in arena number 7. Mo Xiao's opponent was slightly weaker. He was only at the early stage of body tempering stage 3. Similarly, he was defeated by Mo Xiao. With this, Mo Xiao and Mo Hai were the first to advance to the second round. Not long after Mo Xiao and Mo Hai's battle ended, the other contestants' battles also ended. With the end of the first round, it was time for Mo Qingyun and the others to fight in the second round. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun walked into arena number 6 and prepared to fight. However, what surprised Mo Qingyun was that his opponent was actually one of Mo Hai's lackeys. It was a person called Mo Tao, who was at the late third layer of body tempering realm, similar to Mo Ping. Mo Qingyun, looks like your luck is pretty bad. You're going up against Mo Tao in your first match. Seeing that Mo Qingyun's opponent was Mo Tao, Mo Hai smirked coldly and said, "It's a pity that I won't be able to teach you a lesson personally. Are you so sure that he can defeat me?" Seeing Mo Qingyun's smug expression, Mo Qingyun smiled nonchalantly. "I know that you ambushed manager who in the accounting room and injured him. But do you really think that you have the strength to defeat a fourth-layer body tempering cultivator?" Mo Hai sneered and curled his lips. "You won't have the chance to launch a sneak attack here." "Sneak attack?" Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and looked at Mo Hai playfully. He did not refute. Seeing Mo Qingyun's silence, Mo Hai thought that Mo Qingyun had admitted to it. He sneered again and ordered Mo Tao, later on, break his arms and legs. "If anything happens, I'll take care of it." "Yes, Hai Ji." Hearing Mo Hai's order, Mo Tao immediately smiled and walked towards Mo Qingyun. He sneered, "Mo Qingyun, don't blame me for being ruthless. If you want to blame someone, then blame me. You've offended someone you shouldn't have." Seeing Mo Tao's actions, Mo Qingyun looked at him sympathetically. At the same time, Mo Tao took a step forward and attacked Mo Qingyun. He raised his hand and chopped down at Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Tao's attack, Mo Qingyun immediately shook his head. His face was filled with disappointment and he could not summon any fighting spirit. Mo Tao was too weak. Seeing Mo Qingyun standing there shaking his head and not attacking, Mo Tao immediately looked pleased. He thought that Mo Qingyun had been scared silly by his attack and had forgotten to resist. He was shaking his head and begging for mercy. Immediately, Mo Tao sneered, "Mo Qingyun, it's too late for you to beg for mercy now. I won't go easy on you." Hai Ji, look. Mo Qingyun seems to have been scared silly. He doesn't even dare to resist. Seeing Mo Qingyun's appearance, a youth beside Mo Qingyun also thought that Mo Qingyun had been scared silly. He smiled apologetically at Mo Hai. Trash will always be trash. Other than sneak attacks, he's really useless. Mo Hai sneered disdainfully. Bang! But before Mo Hai could finish speaking, he saw Mo Tao's body fly out and fall heavily to the ground. Mo Tao had lost. Seeing this scene, Mo Hai and the others were stunned and surprised. Mo Tao, who had the upper hand just a moment ago, had lost in an instant. He didn't even see the process of Mo Tao's defeat or how Mo Qingyun had attacked. How can this be? How can Mo Tao lose to a trash like Mo Qingyun? Mo Hai was shocked. He couldn't believe what he had seen. Hai Ji, do you think Mo Qingyun defeated Caretaker, who directly and not sneak attacks? One of Mo Hai's lackeys asked in horror. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. This trash can't become so powerful. Mo Hai was shocked. He couldn't accept this result. Crack, crack, however, while Mo Hai and the rest were still in shock, the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard from the sixth arena. Following this, Mo Hai and the rest saw that Mo Tao's limbs were hanging limp and the bones in her arms and legs were all broken. The bones in her arms and legs were crushed. Mo Tao screamed in pain and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Looking at Mo Tao, Mo Qingyun sneered and asked, "Do you still want to break my arms and legs?" However, Mo Qingyun was met with silence. Mo Tao fainted from the pain. When he saw this, Mo Qingyun no longer paid any attention to Mo Tao. He turned around and walked to the side, preparing to leave the arena. Seeing Mo Tao's pitiful state, Mo Hai's lackeys paled and sucked in a breath of cold air. They looked at Mo Qingyun with awe in their eyes. They didn't expect Mo Qingyun to be so ruthless. He really broke Mo Tao's arms and legs. Mo Qingyun, Mo Hai was furious when he saw Mo Tao's state. Mo Qingyun was slapping him in the face. He had asked Mo Tao to break Mo Qingyun's arms and legs, but in the end, Mo Qingyun had broken Mo Tao's arms and legs. Thinking of this, Mo Hai pointed at Mo Qingyun and shouted, "Mo Qingyun, you are so ruthless in a sparring match. That's too much." Too much? Hearing Mo Hai's words, he looked at Mo Hai with disdain and said, "If I was weaker than Mo Tao, I would be the one crippled now." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Hai was at a loss for words. He didn't know how to refute Mo Qingyun. No matter what, Mo Tao didn't really break your arms and legs, but you did. After twisting the facts, Mo Hai said to the elder in charge of judging, "Uncle, Mo Qingyun has no reason to break the rules. I think he should be punished according to the rules. Break his arms and legs, as well as his dantian, and expel him from the Mo family. Break my arms and legs, as well as my dantian, and expel me from the Mo family?" Hearing Mo Hai's words, Mo Qingyun's face darkened. He laughed coldly and said, "According to you, I should wait until Mo Tao breaks my arms and legs before I can retaliate? Do you think everyone is as stupid as you?" After replying to Mo Hai, Mo Qingyun looked at the elder in charge of judging and asked, "Uncle, my opponent didn't admit defeat during the sparring match. Can I continue to attack?" "Yes." The elder nodded in response. "Is it wrong for me to injure Mo Tao?" Mo Qingyun asked. In the process of exchanging blows just now, Mo Tao did not even have time to admit defeat before Mo Qingyun crippled him. Therefore, Mo Tao didn't admit defeat during the battle earlier. Thus, Mo Qingyun didn't break the rules by crippling him. No. The elder nodded again. Emo Qingyun asked again, "Can you announce my victory now?" After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the elder fell silent for a moment. After carefully sizing up Emo Qingyun, he said, "Emo Qingyun wins." From his point of view, Emo Qingyun's performance was too surprising. Hearing the elder announce Emo Qingyun's victory, Emo Hai immediately gritted his teeth. His anger reached its peak. He glared fiercely at Emo Qingyun and said, "Emo Qingyun, you'd better not let me see you in the sparring matches. You'd better not let me see you either." In response to Emo Hai's threat, Emo Qingyun smiled nonchalantly and replied. Chapter 8. After Emo Qingyun's second round ended, the remaining juniors entered the arena one after another for the third round, the fourth round. During this process, Emo Bing and the others, who had been favored by everyone, performed amazingly and defeated their opponents in a crushing manner. In this monthly test, there were 134 ordinary juniors. After the first round of competition, 67 of them entered the second round. In the first round, 9 of them won with great difficulty and could not continue fighting. Therefore, only 58 people participated in the second round of the competition. Rest for an hour, then we will draw lots to decide your opponent. Seeing that the first round of competition had ended, an elder at the judges' table said to the juniors who had won. After an hour, the rest period ended. Emo Qingyun followed everyone to the judges' table again to draw lots to choose his opponent. Number 7. This time, Emo Qingyun drew number 7 and was placed in the first round to start the battle. Then, Emo Qingyun came to the 7th arena and waited for his opponent to appear. To Emo Qingyun's surprise, his opponent this time was Emo Hai's follower, Emo Xing. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun sighed in his heart. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. I admit defeat. However, to Emo Qingyun's surprise, Emo Xing, Emo Hai's follower, admitted defeat at the beginning of the competition. Therefore, Emo Qingyun easily advanced to the third round and was the first to enter the third round. However, Emo Qingyun was not too surprised by Emo Xing's action. Presumably, Emo Xing's action was due to his fear of Emo Qingyun after seeing Emo Tao's miserable state. There were only 3 rounds of competition in the second round, and it ended quickly. During this process, another 29 people were eliminated. One of them won with great difficulty and could not enter the third round. Therefore, there were only 28 people left in the third round. One more victory and I will enter the top 15. A faint smile appeared on Emo Qingyun's face as he thought to himself. According to Emo Feilin, as long as he won the third round, he would meet Emo Feilin's requirements. Rest for half an hour before the third round begins. Seeing that the second round of battles had ended, the elder on the judging panel spoke to the people who had advanced once again. After resting for an hour, they drew lots again. Number 5, the first group will fight. Looking at the number in his hand, Emo Qingyun walked directly to the 5th venue. As Emo Qingyun walked towards arena number 5, a stern figure slowly walked towards him. This figure was none other than Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun's opponent this time was actually Emo Lin. Emo Lin, one of the seeded candidates for this month's monthly test, was someone who could break through to the 5th stage of body tempering realm anytime. After seeing this scene, everyone broke out in cold sweat for Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun was in trouble this time. Emo Qingyun is really unlucky. His opponent this time is actually Emo Lin. It seems like he's going to lose for sure. That's right. Although Emo Qingyun's performance was surprising this time, he's definitely not Emo Lin's opponent. With Emo Qingyun's performance, he had a chance to enter the top 20. Unfortunately, he met Emo Lin. The juniors discussed among themselves. Little Monkey's opponent this time is Emo Lin. I wonder if he can win. It's too difficult for him to defeat Emo Lin. Emo Feilin, who was on the judging panel, frowned when he saw Emo Qingyun's opponent. He knew that Emo Qingyun had broken through to the 4th stage of body tempering realm because of the Foundation Establishment liquid. However, he wasn't optimistic about Emo Qingyun's chances of defeating Emo Lin. Emo Qingyun, you're really unlucky. I didn't expect your opponent to be Emo Lin. Even I don't have absolute confidence in defeating Emo Lin. Seeing that Emo Qingyun's opponent was Emo Lin, Emo Hai gloated. What a pity. I won't be able to deal with you personally. Stage 5. While the crowd was discussing, Emo Lin looked at Emo Qingyun coldly and said, "You're not my opponent. Summon your martial soul. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to fight." Emo Qingyun was stunned when he heard Emo Lin's words. He smiled and said, "No need. I don't need to summon my martial soul to deal with you." Emo Lin's face darkened when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. He said unhappily, "If that's the case, don't blame me for not giving you a chance." Then, Emo Qingyun saw Emo Lin striding toward him at an extremely fast speed. Emo Lin's fist blasted out, bringing along a burst of whistling sounds as it broke through the air. The surrounding juniors were all shocked by this punch, and they looked at Emo Lin with reverence in their eyes. Emo Lin's punch had the power of a 5th stage body tempering realm expert. Emo Qingyun is too arrogant. He didn't even summon his martial soul when facing Emo Lin. He's courting death. He's too pretentious. I'm sure he won't be able to take Emo Lin's punch. You're all wrong. Emo Qingyun's martial soul is a grade 1 illumination martial soul. What's the point of summoning it? That's true. The crowd was in an uproar when they saw Emo Lin's attack. Bang! While the crowd was still in shock, a muffled sound came from stage 5. Along with this muffled sound, a cloud of dust rose from the ground of arena number 5, instantly engulfing Emo Qingyun and the young man. After the dust settled, Emo Qingyun and Emo Lin's figures were revealed. Emo Qingyun's face was indifferent. He grabbed Emo Lin's fist and blocked Emo Lin's attack. He caught it. Emo Lin's all-out attack was actually received by Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun had actually withstood Emo Lin's full-force attack, and he'd done it so easily. After seeing this scene, everyone became absent-minded and rubbed their eyes. How is this possible? Emo Qingyun is trash. How could he catch Emo Lin's all-out attack? Emo Hai was shocked. He couldn't believe it. Even he couldn't catch Emo Lin's all-out attack. He caught it. This little monkey is really surprising. Emo Feilin was pleasantly surprised when he saw Emo Qingyun catch Emo Lin's attack. He stood up unconsciously and said, "Good boy, it seems like I've underestimated you. I didn't expect you to make it to the top 15. Back off." While the crowd was still in shock, Emo Qingyun's deep voice came from stage 5. Emo Qingyun's hand that was holding Emo Lin's fist shook slightly. A hidden force came from Emo Qingyun's hand and blasted into Emo Lin's fist. Deng deng deng, under Emo Qingyun's force, Emo Lin's body was pushed back 10 steps. Chapter 9. Wow! As soon as Emo Lin finished his words, a huge commotion broke out in the arena. Only those with a cultivation base of the 7th layer body tempering realm could master inner force. Emo Qingyun's cultivation base is only at the 4th stage of body tempering realm. How could a body tempering stage 4 master internal force? Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at Emo Qingyun in disbelief. Such a thing was truly unbelievable. It had already broken their understanding of the world. Internal force? How is that possible? How could a piece of trash like Emo Qingyun master internal force? Emo Lin must have made a mistake. Emo Hai almost went crazy when he heard Emo Lin's words. He looked at Emo Qingyun with jealousy. This little monkey is really surprising. I didn't expect him to master internal force. Knowing that Emo Qingyun had mastered internal force, Emo Feilin was relieved. His palms were sweating in excitement. Those who didn't know better might have misunderstood that he was the one who had mastered internal force. Body Tempering Stage 4 Master Internal Force. Mo Qingyun is really surprising. No, it seems to be a clever use of force. It's not the real internal force. Is that so? But even if it's not the real internal force, it's still very rare for him to master internal force. It seems that although the heavens have closed a door for him, they have also opened a window for him, allowing him to possess extraordinary comprehension abilities. At this moment, the elders on the judging panel all had shocked expressions on their faces as they sighed endlessly. In the fifth arena, Mo Lin supported his injured right hand with his left hand. He looked at Mo Qingyun in shock and asked again, "Did you really master internal force?" "No, it's just a clever use of force," Mo Qingyun said calmly. He didn't want to hide it. Internal force was the standard for a body tempering stage 7 master. Even if he was a reincarnated supreme, he wouldn't be able to master it. An ingenious use of strength? Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Mo Lin's expression eased a little. Even so, he still looked at Mo Qingyun with admiration and fanaticism. Although it wasn't a real hidden force, Mo Qingyun was still very powerful to be able to use his strength to such an extent. If he could comprehend it, his strength would increase exponentially. Mo Qingyun had a good impression of this Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Lin's fanatical expression, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "If you want to learn, come find me after the monthly test. I can teach you." "Really?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun was willing to teach him how to use his strength, Mo Lin was pleasantly surprised. After that, Mo Lin no longer hesitated. He said to the elder who was judging, "I've lost." Seeing Mo Qingyun concede, the judge glanced at Mo Qingyun, as if trying to see through him. Mo Qingyun wins. Mo Qingyun won. Am I hearing things? Mo Lin actually admitted defeat. Am I seeing things? How is that possible? Mo Lin is qualified to enter the top 3 in this month's monthly test. How could he lose to Mo Qingyun? Hearing the result, the crowd was in an uproar again. He won. This little monkey is really surprising. Mo Feilin was also very surprised by Mo Lin's admission of defeat. I didn't think Mo Lin would admit defeat. This is good too, I can deal with you personally. Seeing Mo Lin concede, Mo Hai's expression darkened. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. At this time, while Mo Hai was fuming, a youth who looked similar to him walked up to him and stopped beside him. Seeing this youth, Mo Hai's expression immediately changed. He said respectfully, "Big brother, why are you here?" "Big brother." Hearing Mo Hai's words, the surrounding juniors tensed up and looked at the youth with respect. This youth was Mo Hai's big brother, the number 1 junior of the Mo clan, Mo Tsang. "Let me take a look," Mo Tsang said indifferently. Then, he took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to Mo Hai. "Take this and consume it when you need it. It will increase your strength by 500 kilograms instantly." 500 kilograms of strength. Hearing this, Mo Hai's expression changed. He said in shock, "This is? Giant strength pill." Mo Tsang said indifferently, "Giant strength pill, high grade 1 elixir." Mo Hai's eyes narrowed in shock. Elixirs were ranked from grade 1 to grade 9. Each grade was further divided into 4 levels: beginner, intermediate, high, and perfect. In the northern desert town, a high grade 1 elixir was considered a precious item. Get first place in this month's monthly test, and I'll help you get the right to cultivate in Returning Wind Valley. Mo Tsang looked at the center of the arena and said to Mo Hai. Returning Wind Valley was a cultivation paradise in the Mo clan. Cultivating in Returning Wind Valley would yield twice the results with half the effort. However, under normal circumstances, only juniors who were specially groomed by the Mo clan were qualified to cultivate in Returning Wind Valley. "I'll definitely get first place in the monthly test," Mo Hai promised in fear and trepidation. Then, he looked at Mo Qingyun with a ferocious expression and said to himself, Emo Qingyun, if I meet you again, I'll definitely turn you into a cripple. Hearing Emo Hai's promise, Emo Tsang nodded in satisfaction. He looked at the arena and did not say anything else. At this moment, while Emo Tsang and Emo Hai were talking, the first round of the competition had ended. It was Emo Hai's turn for the second round. Not long after, Emo Hai and the rest's second round of competition also ended. Then, it was time for the top 7. After a fierce battle, the top 7 were decided. They were Emo Qingyun, Emo Hai, Emo Xiao, Emo Bing, Emo Hong, Emo Qing, and Emo Ming. Rest for 2 hours. We'll start the competition for the top 10 later. After the top 7 were announced, one of the elders at the judges' stand instructed Emo Qingyun and the others. 2 hours passed. After the break, they began to draw lots to choose their opponent. Since there were 7 people drawing lots, one of them was bound to get a bye. Emo Qingyun's luck was pretty good and he got the bye. In this way, Emo Qingyun easily entered the top 4. Emo Qingyun actually got the bye. His luck is too good. However, with Emo Qingyun's ability to defeat Emo Lin, it's natural for him to enter the top 4. The juniors in the martial arts practice field sighed when they saw that Emo Qingyun had drawn the vacant lot. This little monkey actually made it into the top 4. What a surprise! Emo Feilin was also shocked when he saw that he got the Samsara lot and directly entered the top 4. Among the other 6, Emo Hai got Emo Qing, Emo Xiao got Emo Ming, and Emo Bing got Emo Hong. Some of the juniors favored by the elders finally met at this moment. In the end, after a round of competition, Missouri High, Emo Xiao, and Emo Bing advanced. Emo Qing, Emo Ming, and Emo Hong lost and competed for the 5th to 7th places. In this way, the top 4 were decided. Emo Qingyun, Emo Hai, Emo Xiao, and Emo Bing would appear. Rest for 2 hours and then we'll start the finals. After seeing the top 4, an elder at the judging panel said, "No need. Let's start the finals." At this moment, Emo Hai suddenly spoke as soon as the elder finished speaking. "No need to rest?" Hearing this, the elder was surprised. He turned to look at Emo Xiao and the rest and asked, "You don't need to rest either?" "No need to rest. Let's start the competition." Emo Xiao and the rest nodded and agreed to go straight to the finals. "Okay, now draw lots and we'll start the finals." Chapter 10. Emo Xiao. Looking at the opponent in front of him, Emo Qingyun was slightly taken aback. Emo Xiao was the only girl in the top 4. She had a voluptuous figure and a delicate face. She was a very beautiful girl. "What's with that look? Are you looking down on girls?" Seeing Emo Qingyun's strange expression, Emo Xiao furrowed her brows and pouted unhappily. "No, I'm just a little surprised." Seeing Emo Xiao's shrewish personality, he chuckled. This little girl was actually a little chilly. After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Emo Xiao rolled her eyes and smiled slyly. "Is that so? Then you have to go easy on me later. I'm a girl." Seeing Emo Xiao's expression, Emo Qingyun was dumbfounded. This girl's change was too fast. While Emo Qingyun was feeling helpless, the younger generation around the arena widened their eyes and looked at Emo Qingyun with envy. Am I seeing things? Emo Xiao is acting coquettishly in front of Emo Qingyun. She looks so charming. If Emo Xiao acted coquettishly in front of me, I would be willing to admit defeat, let alone go easy on her. Forget it. You're just a second-layer body-tempering cultivator. You want Emo Xiao to act coquettishly in front of you? Dream on. The younger generation outside the arena was in an uproar. In the arena, Emo Qingyun sized up Emo Xiao, who was in stark contrast to the current Emo Xiao. He shook his head and said, "Admit defeat. I don't want to fight with you." "Since you don't want to fight with me, why don't you admit defeat and let me win?" Emo Xiao blinked her eyes and said pitifully to Emo Qingyun. Seeing Emo Xiao's actions, Emo Qingyun was once again helpless. He shook his head and said in a low voice, I'm sorry. First place in the monthly examination, I must win. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Zhao's expression changed. She rolled her eyes at Mo Qingyun and said angrily, you have no manners at all. I'm a girl. Since it's like this, let's fight. Then, Mo Zhao's expression darkened. She called out her martial soul. Immediately, a white figure appeared above Mo Zhao's head. It was a white crane with pure white feathers and a dark red crown. Red Crane Martial Soul, a 7th grade martial soul, was Mo Zhao's martial soul. A grade 7 martial spirit was considered to be one of the best in the younger generation of the Mo clan. If it wasn't for her low cultivation level, she would have been the clan's. Mo Xiao, who possessed a grade 7 martial spirit, had a high chance of breaking through to the true energy boundary. Take my blow. With the assistance of the red-crowned rain crane, Missouri Zhao's body became much more agile. He was almost twice as fast as before. In Zhao's by surprise. By Xiao by surprise. So fast. After seeing this scene, the expressions of the surrounding people changed, and they were extremely shocked in their hearts. At this moment they all had the same thought. Mo Qingyun was in trouble. However, while they were worried about Mo Qingyun dodged Mo Zhao's attack with an even faster speed. Swift shadow step. When he used fleeting shadow steps, Mo Qingyun's speed was so fast that only an afterimage could be seen. So fast. What kind of martial skill is this? I've never seen it before. This martial skill must have reached the mysterious rank. I didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have cultivated this martial skill. Looks like this little fellow has concealed himself quite deeply. Being able to cultivate a movement technique to such an extent is not something that can be accomplished in a short period of time. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid Mo Qingyun has cultivated this movement technique to the true essence. Cultivate to the level of essence? How is that possible? This is not something that can be achieved by just relying on cultivation. It also requires a trace of enlightenment. After seeing Mo Qingyun's martial skill, the elders on the judging panel were shocked. They couldn't calm down for a long time. Mo Qingyun has hidden his strength well. At this moment, the elders all had the same thought. This little monkey, how many secrets is he hiding? Seeing Mo Qingyun's martial skill, Mo Feilin was also shocked. He held the teacup tightly in his hand. What an exquisite movement technique! I didn't expect such a figure to appear in this ordinary junior monthly test. Mo Tsang's eyes flickered as he looked at Mo Qingyun with a hint of greed in his eyes. He had to get this martial skill. If he could get this martial skill, he would definitely get first place in the family competition. Impossible. Mo Qingyun is a trash. How could he have such an exquisite martial skill? Mo Hai's face paled. He was shocked and couldn't believe it. In the fighting arena. How could he be so fast? It's too fast. After seeing Mo Qingyun's figure, Mo Xiao was shocked. She became absent-minded and exclaimed in shock. At that moment, Mo Qingyun raised his right hand and sent a palm strike toward Mo Xiao. Perhaps because Mo Qingyun's performance had shocked Mo Xiao too much, she didn't react to Mo Qingyun's attack at all. After that, Mo Xiao was struck head-on by Mo Qingyun's palm strike, and he was forced to retreat repeatedly. So soft, so bouncy, so big. The moment Mo Qingyun's attack hit Mo Xiao, he felt a soft and bouncy feeling in his hand. When this feeling appeared, Mo Qingyun felt that something was wrong. He saw Mo Xiao looking at him with a murderous gaze. Oh no, I hit the wrong spot. Under Mo Xiao's gaze, Mo Qingyun felt guilty and his face turned red. As a Supreme Realm expert, he had lost all his face at this moment. How could he hit the oil of a little girl? However, although he felt embarrassed, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. It felt really good. At the same time, Mo Qingyun's eyes kept glancing at Mo Zhao's full breasts. Mo Xiao was instantly enraged from embarrassment when he saw this scene, and he glared at Mo Qingyun and said angrily, "Despicable." Then, Mo Xiao ran away from the fighting arena as if she was avoiding a ghost. After seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Their eyes were wide open, and they were incomparably shocked. What's going on? Did Mo Xiao admit defeat? After a short moment of surprise, the elder who was in charge of judging narrowed his eyes playfully and said, "Mo Qingyun wins." Seeing the elder's expression, Mo Qingyun naturally knew what he was referring to. Then, Mo Qingyun smiled bitterly and replied with a look. Following this elder's words, the martial arts practice field immediately burst into an uproar. Mo Qingyun won. How is this possible? Mo Xiao didn't lose. Just now, Mo Qingyun looked at Mo Xiao with a perverted gaze. Did he use this method to defeat Mo Xiao? That must be it. He's too despicable. He actually used such a perverted method to win. Mo Qingyun, we despise you. Using his gaze to look at a girl's sensitive spot and winning without a fight. Mo Qingyun is so awesome. I worship you. You're all shameless and perverted. Men are all bad things. However, even though that's the case, the movement technique Mo Qingyun used just now was really exquisite. In an instant, the ordinary boys and girls of the Mo clan were divided into two factions and started arguing. Hearing the surrounding people's words, Mo Qingyun was speechless. These guys weren't afraid of making a big deal out of it. However, Mo Qingyun was glad that these people didn't see it. His palm landed on Mo Xiao's chest. Chapter 11. Not long after Mo Qingyun and Mo Xiao's battle ended, Mo Hai and Mo Bing's battle also ended. In the end, Mo Hai won by a narrow margin, defeating Mo Bing and obtaining the final victory. However, everyone knew that the reason for this result was that Mo Hai had concealed his true strength. It was said that Mo Hai had already mastered a martial skill, but he did not use it when he fought with Mo Bing. Thus, if Mo Hai had used a martial skill when he fought with Mo Bing, the result would not have been like this. After the two groups' battles ended, it was time for the first place of the Jiao Zhuye trial. After resting for a while, Mo Qingyun and Mo Hai walked into the arena and faced each other. Mo Qingyun, I'm really surprised that you were able to reach this stage. However, this is also good. I can personally deal with you. Mo Hai said in a deep voice as he looked at Mo Qingyun with a cold smile. Deal with me. Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and looked at Mo Hai playfully. You think too highly of yourself. You think that just because you defeated Mo Lin, you're my opponent? You're too naive. Mo Hai snorted coldly as a proud smile appeared on his face. Since that's the case, I'll show you my true strength. After Mo Hai finished speaking, the aura on his body began to rise rapidly. Fifth layer body tempering realm. Mo Hai's cultivation was not at the fourth layer body tempering realm, but the fifth layer body tempering realm. After seeing this scene, everyone's expression was shocked, and their hearts were filled with surprise. Do you feel despair now? However, it's too late for you to regret it now. In a moment, I will break all your limbs and destroy your dantian, turning you into a complete cripple. After displaying his true strength, Mo Hai raised his head and spoke to Mo Qingyun in a domineering manner. However, after hearing his words, Mo Qingyun's face remained indifferent. Is the fifth layer body tempering realm very strong? After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people were stunned and looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. For a moment, no one knew what to say. Was the fifth stage of body tempering realm that strong? Mo Qingyun's words were completely correct. However, from another perspective, even though body tempering stage 5 wasn't strong, Mo Hai's strength was more than enough to deal with Mo Qingyun. Qingyun, Mo Hai's cultivation, has already broken through to the fifth layer of body tempering realm. Furthermore, he has also grasped the low-level profound ranked martial skill mountain shattering palm. You are not his match. When the battle starts, you should immediately admit defeat. Don't fight with him. I am already very surprised and happy that you were able to obtain second place. Mo Feilin immediately warned Mo Qingyun after learning of Mo Hai's cultivation. He was worried. Fourth uncle, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Hearing Mo Feilin's words of concern, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly, indicating that Mo Feilin did not need to worry. Hey, don't tell me you're really planning to fight Mo Hai? At this moment, Mo Xiao, who had left in shame and anger, had returned. He stood at the side and asked Mo Qingyun. Hearing Mo Xiao's words, Mo Qingyun was a little surprised. After a slight pause, he said, "Are you worried about me? Pfft, don't be narcissistic. Who cares about you?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Mo Xiao's heart instantly felt a wave of embarrassment. His face flushed red as he rolled his eyes at Mo Qingyun and said, "I'm just worried that if you're crippled by Mo Hai, I won't be able to seek revenge in the future." Won't be able to seek revenge after being crippled? Hearing Mo Xiao's words, Mo Qingyun was a little depressed. He smiled bitterly and said, "If I'm crippled, won't it be easier for you to seek revenge?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Xiao immediately felt guilty. Feeling his face burning, he angrily glared at Mo Qingyun and said, "Mo Qingyun, you big idiot. It's best if you die. Once all troubles are over, I won't even have to seek revenge." Being scolded by Mo Xiao like this, Mo Qingyun suddenly felt a chill. He unconsciously touched his nose and said with a bitter smile, "You don't have to be so cruel. I only touched you're still talking." Seeing Mo Qingyun's eyes looking at her twin peaks, Mo Xiao immediately felt embarrassed and angry. He gritted his teeth and fiercely glared at Mo Qingyun. Looking at Mo Xiao's cute angry face, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said to himself, "This girl can't have taken a fancy to me, can she? I only touched her a little. She can't possibly want me to take responsibility for her, right?" Mo Qingyun, are you done with your nonsense? Seeing Mo Qingyun and Mo Xiao talking, Mo Hai immediately became jealous and urged Mo Qingyun. Although Mo Xiao's cultivation level was low, among the younger generation of the Mo family, her talent was above average. In the hearts of the younger generation of the Mo family, Mo Xiao was a goddess. At this moment, seeing his goddess flirting with Mo Qingyun, how could Mo Hai not be angry? Seeing Mo Hai's impatience, Mo Qingyun shrugged at Mo Xiao and said with a smile, "Someone can't wait any longer. After I deal with him, I'll talk to you." Then, Mo Qingyun walked back to the battle stage and confronted Mo Hai. Watching Mo Qingyun's back as he walked back to the battle stage, Mo Xiao secretly snorted and rolled her eyes at Mo Qingyun. "Pfft, shameless, who wants to chat with a big pervert like you? It's best if Mo Hai gives you a good beating and turns you into a pig's head, hee." Thinking about how Mo Qingyun would be beaten up by Mo Hai, Mo Xiao covered her mouth and laughed. "You go first." Mo Qingyun walked to the center of the battle stage and looked at Mo Hai indifferently. At this moment, he gave off the feeling that he did not care about Mo Hai's strength at all. Mo Qingyun is too arrogant. Does he think that with his fourth stage body tempering realm cultivation, he can defeat Mo Hai? From what I see, he wants to put on a good show in front of Mo Xiao. That's right. Since he's going to get beaten up later, he might as well act tough first to save face. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the crowd immediately sneered. Seeing that Mo Qingyun wanted him to go first, Mo Hai immediately revealed a cruel smile and said, "Mo Qingyun, I don't know if I should say that you're ignorant or an idiot. Since you want me to go first, I'll finish you in one move." Mountain-shattering palm, Mo Hai shouted loudly. His footsteps were like the wind as he charged towards Mo Qingyun. Then, he sent a palm strike towards Mo Qingyun. Rumble. Mo Hai's palm strike was accompanied by a rumbling sound. It was as if a mountain rock was rolling down. This was the result of practicing the mountain-shattering palm to the small success stage. With one strike, it could split rocks, pierce clouds, and split mountains. So strong. Even a 5th-stage body-tempering realm cultivator would not dare to take Mo Hai's palm strike head-on. Mo Qingyun is finished. After taking Mo Hai's palm strike, I'm afraid he'll become a cripple. After seeing the power of Mo Hai's attack, the crowd looked at Mo Qingyun with sympathy. Bang! Just as the crowd was worried, a muffled sound came from the battle stage. A violent force wreaked havoc in the area, following which, the crowd saw that the ground of the battle stage was covered with cracks like a spider web. This was caused by the rebounding force of Mo Qingyun and Mo Hai's attack. 9 heavy crash. Just as the crowd was shocked by the commotion caused by Mo Qingyun and Mo Hai's attack, they saw Mo Qingyun, who had received Mo Hai's attack, send a punch towards Mo Hai. Bang! Following which, the crowd saw Mo Hai's body fly out and fall heavily on the ground, leaving a long mark on the ground. Seeing this, the crowd was stunned. They felt that the scene in front of them was unreal. Mo Hai lost. Mo Hai, who was a 5th-stage body-tempering realm cultivator and had used a martial skill, actually lost. Moreover, it was just a single move, and he was defeated by Mo Qingyun as easily as crushing dry weeds. Qingyun defeated Mo Hai with just one strike? Mo Feilin was stunned. His mouth was wide open, and he could not recover from the shock. Mo Hai lost. This pervert defeated Mo Hai. Chapter 12. Silence. At this moment, the martial arts practice field was completely silent. Everyone could clearly hear the sound of breathing. Mo Hai actually lost. Furthermore, it was after he used a martial skill. This is unbelievable. Just now, Mo Qingyun seemed to have used another martial skill. I didn't expect him to have hidden it so deeply. He actually managed to cultivate 2 martial skills. This is truly surprising. Never would I have imagined that Mo Qingyun, this little guy, would have also reached the small perfection stage in another martial skill. Looks like we have underestimated him. Although his martial soul isn't strong, his comprehension is shocking. After a while, everyone in the martial arts practice field sighed. While the crowd was still in shock, Mo Hai slowly stood up from the ground and looked at Mo Qingyun with a ferocious expression. Mo Qingyun, you forced me to do this. Prepare to die. As he spoke, Mo Hai took out a jade bottle and swallowed one of the pills. Then, he attacked Mo Qingyun again. That's a giant strength pill. Seeing Mo Hai swallow the pill, Mo Feilin's expression changed. He was furious and shouted at Mo Hai, "How dare you, Mo Hai? Pills are forbidden in the monthly test. Stop." However, Mo Hai didn't seem to care about his words at all. Instead, he continued to attack Mo Qingyun without slowing down. Seeing this, Mo Feilin was worried. He reminded Mo Qingyun anxiously, "Qingyun, back off. Mo Hai has taken the giant strength pill. It can increase his strength by 500 kilograms. You can't fight against him." Mo Hai has taken the giant strength pill. Mo Shao was shocked when he heard that Mo Qingyun had taken the giant strength pill. His expression was tense and he shouted at Mo Qingyun, "Idiot, back off. Do you want to die?" Giant strength pill. Mo Hai has taken the giant strength pill. Shameless. He's cheating. Mo Qingyun is done for. After taking the giant strength pill, Mo Hai's strength is comparable to a body-tempering realm stage 7. I don't dare to watch. Mo Qingyun is done for. Everyone in the surroundings was shocked when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They began to worry for Mo Qingyun. At this moment, the elder at the side of the battle arena quickly rushed into the battle arena, intending to stop Mo Hai. However, even though he moved very quickly, he was still a step too late. By the time he reached the center of the arena, Mo Qingyun had already raised his hand to greet Mo Hai. 9 heavy crash. Mo Qingyun shouted and struck out with his palm. Suddenly, the air was filled with a powerful force and it exploded continuously. Bam bam bam. There were 3 muffled sounds in a row. The force was instantly raised to the limit and blasted towards Mo High. Bang. Following that, a muffled sound was heard, and a person was sent flying out of the arena. Mo High. The person who flew out of the arena was Mo High. Even after taking the giant strength pill, Mo High was still sent flying by Mo Qingyun. After seeing this scene, everyone was instantly dumbfounded. Their brains were somewhat unable to process this. He repelled him? Mo Feilin was stunned when he saw Mo High being sent flying again. He could not believe what he had just seen. This scene was the complete opposite of what he had imagined. This kid. Then, Mo Feilin smiled in relief and said loudly, "Good, good, good. You are indeed third brother's descendant." He actually took Mo High's attack and sent him flying. How is this possible? Seeing that not only did Mo Qingyun take Mo High's attack, but he also sent him flying, Mo Zhao's eyes widened and she covered her mouth. She looked at Mo Qingyun as if he was an alien. The strength that Mo Qingyun displayed at this moment had completely exceeded her expectations. Mo Qingyun is so strong. Even after taking the giant strength pill, Mo High is still no match for him. Is this guy really the same trash that he used to be? Since when did trash become so powerful? The juniors all looked at Mo Qingyun in awe and veneration. Enduring humiliation, enduring hardships, and bearing the title of trash. Is this all for the sake of shocking the world with a single brilliant feat today? It's obvious that he succeeded. From today onwards, Mo Qingyun's reputation as trash will be removed. After seeing his performance today, I have some expectations for his future growth. After seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the elders in the judging panel could not help but sigh. While the crowd was still in shock, Mo Qingyun slowly walked towards Mo High with a cold expression. Only he knew what had happened just now. If he had not been reincarnated as a supreme being, had rich battle experience, and had cultivated the 9 crash to the initial stage, he would have been injured. Even if he had taken Mo High's attack, he would have been injured. As a result, the result was obvious. After this, he would definitely be severely injured and crippled by Mo High. He would become a real cripple. When he thought of this, killing intent rose in Mo Qingyun's heart. Since Mo High had disregarded the rules and wanted to cripple him, he had nothing to worry about. Seeing Mo Qingyun's cold expression approaching him step by step, Mo High was scared. His face tightened as he said nervously, What are you doing? What am I doing?" Hearing Mo High's words, Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "What am I doing? Of course, I'm going to cripple you." Crack. As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Qingyun lifted his leg and stomped on Mo High's leg, instantly breaking it. With his leg broken, Mo High couldn't help but cry out in pain. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead as his body twitched. Stop. When Mo High's leg was crippled, Mo Tsang, who was outside the arena, immediately shouted coldly, "Crack!" After Mo Tsang spoke, Mo Qingyun lifted his leg and stepped on Mo High's arm again, breaking it. Seeing that Mo Qingyun still crippled Mo High's arm even after he spoke, Mo Tsang was enraged. He stood up and threw a punch at Mo Qingyun. Mo Tsang's movements were extremely fast. Before Mo Qingyun could react, the punch was already in front of him. 9 heavy crash. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless. He threw a punch at Mo Tsang with all his might. Bang bang bang. As soon as they collided, a few muffled sounds could be heard. Waves of energy spread out from the collision. As for Mo Qingyun, after receiving Mo Tsang's palm strike, his body was blasted back repeatedly, leaving deep pits in the ground. Poof! After stabilizing himself, a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Mo Qingyun's mouth. Mo Tsang was indeed a body-tempering stage 9 cultivator. Even though he didn't use all his strength, it wasn't easy for Lin Fan to take this blow. I asked you to stop. Didn't you hear me? After Emote Song injured Emo Qingyun, he looked coldly at Emo Qingyun and spoke in a condescending manner. Emo Qingyun smiled disdainfully at Emote Song's arrogant attitude. He said nonchalantly, "Do you think I'll stop just because you asked me to? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the juniors were shocked. How dare Emo Qingyun talk to Emote Song like that? Emo Qingyun is so arrogant. Humph. You're indeed arrogant. No wonder you dared to attack your own clan member in the middle of a battle. After Emote Song shouted coldly, he attacked Emo Qingyun again. This time, his attack was even more vicious than before. According to the clan's rules, you should be punished for harming your own clan member. Today, I'll punish you on behalf of the disciplinary hall. At this moment, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Emote Song intended to cripple Emo Qingyun. Swift shadow step. Seeing Emote Song attack with all his strength, Emo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. He used all his strength to execute swift shadow steps and avoided Emote Song's attack. Seeing that his attack had missed, Emote Song's expression changed. He looked at Emo Qingyun with greed in his eyes again. He thought to himself, what an exquisite movement martial skill. I must get my hands on this martial skill. After a short moment of hesitation, Emote Song attacked Emo Qingyun again. He raised his hand to grab Emo Qingyun and shouted, "Emo Qingyun, surrender now and accept the clan's punishment." At this moment, when Emote Song attacked again, Emo Phailin came to the middle of the battlefield. He raised his hand to block Emote Song's attack and shouted, "Emote Song, you're too presumptuous." Uncle Phailin, Emo Qingyun harmed his own clan member and disregarded the clan's rules. Are you going to protect him? Or are you condoning his actions? Seeing that Emo Phailin had blocked his attack, Emote Song placed his hands behind his back and looked at Emo Phailin arrogantly. Disregarding the clan's rules and harming his own clan member. What a huge accusation. Hearing Emote Song's words, Emo Qingyun laughed disdainfully and said, "Emote Song, let me ask you. During the battle, Emo Hai broke the rules by consuming the giant power pill. Just now, he did not admit defeat, so can I continue to attack? Now, during the monthly competition, not only did you interfere, you even tried to attack me. Is this disregarding the clan's rules and harming your own clan member?" Emote Song did not expect Emo Qingyun's words to be so sharp. After hearing Emo Qingyun's series of questions, he was actually speechless. Emo Qingyun looked at the silent Emote Song and sneered again. With Emo Hai's status, he can't get his hands on something like the giant power pill. Then, where did he get his giant power pill? Emote Song, don't tell me you don't know? Chapter 13. You can protect him this time, but you can't protect him forever. In the next monthly examination, I will definitely cripple him. Emo Qingyun's words were like a sudden clap of thunder, exploding in the minds of the juniors. Emo Qingyun actually dared to speak to Emote Song in such a manner. Was he trying to go against Emote Song? Emote Song was like a king amongst the younger generation of the Emo family. Those who dared to go against him could be counted on one hand. Now, Emo Qingyun actually dared to speak to Emote Song in such a manner. This was truly out of everyone's expectations. This kid is not bad. He has spirit and courage. In the Emo family, there are not many who dare to go against Emote Song like this. However, it seems a little impulsive and reckless for him to challenge Emote Song with his fourth-layer body tempering stage cultivation. Indeed. If this is the case, I'm afraid his situation will be somewhat troublesome. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, the elders in the judging panel each expressed their own opinions. In the battle arena, when Emote Song heard Emo Qingyun's words, his expression became even colder. He said in a deep voice, Crippling my second brother in the next monthly examination? You sure talk big. Since that's the case, I challenge you now. Do you dare to accept? Song challenged Chingyun to a battle? Hearing Song's words, the crowd was stunned. Their eyes widened as they felt disbelief in their hearts. You're challenging me? While the crowd was still in shock, Chingyun's mouth twitched as he looked at Song with disdain. He replied with disdain, Is there something wrong with your brain? You, a 9th-layer body-tempering stage cultivator, challenge me, a 4th-layer body-tempering stage cultivator. I really admire how thick-skinned you are. When Chingyun's words left his mouth, the crowd's expression changed and became playful. That's right. With Song's 9th-layer body-tempering stage cultivation, challenging Chingyun, a 4th-layer body-tempering stage cultivator, was really unreasonable. With regards to Chingyun's rejection of the challenge, Song was not surprised. It would be abnormal if Chingyun really accepted his challenge. What he said just now was just to provoke Chingyun. Of course, if Chingyun really accepted it, he wouldn't mind crippling Chingyun right now. Do you think you can just run away and not fight? Song snorted coldly and said, I will challenge you again at the family competition at the end of the year. At that time, it will not be up to you. The family competition was the same as the monthly test. It was a way for the family to test the cultivation progress of the younger generation. However, the competition was only held once a year, and that was at the end of every year. In the process of the family competition, not only would the ordinary and elite juniors participate, but also some of the important talents of the family. They would spar with each other to verify their progress in the past year. In addition, during the family competition, when challenged by others, they were not allowed to refuse. This was also the reason why Song said that he would challenge Chingyun again during the family competition. Of course, situations like Song challenging Chingyun today were extremely rare. Under normal circumstances, it would be those with lower cultivation who would challenge those with higher cultivation. Chingyun was very clear about Song's thoughts. After hearing Song's words, he said calmly, Don't worry, at the family competition at the end of the year, even if you don't challenge me, I will challenge you. Chingyun said this because in his opinion, since he was going to fight anyway, he might as well take the initiative. In this way, when Chingyun wanted to deal with him, he would have to be more cautious, and he would be able to cultivate more peacefully. There wasn't much time left until the end of the year, and he didn't want to be constantly disturbed during this period of time when he was cultivating. After Chingyun said this, there was an immediate uproar in the arena. What? Did I hear wrongly? Chingyun wants to challenge Song at the family competition at the end of the year? Is Chingyun crazy? There are only 2 months left until the end of the year. He definitely can't surpass Song. He has no choice but to do this. You can't refuse a challenge at the family competition. Even if he doesn't challenge Song will still challenge him. Although I know that when the time comes, Chingyun will definitely lose miserably, I still admire his courage. The younger generation whispered to each other. Chingyun, you can't do this. There are only 2 months left until the end of the year. You can't possibly be Song's opponent. After hearing Chingyun's words, Feilin hurriedly stopped Chingyun, hoping that he wouldn't let his emotions affect his decisions. Hearing Feiling's words, Chingyun smiled carelessly and said, Fourth uncle, don't worry. There are only 2 months left until the end of the year. Besides, I don't seem to have the chance to escape. Hearing Chingyun's words, Feiling couldn't say anything else. Chingyun was right. He already had no way out. The battle with Song was unavoidable. In that case, he might as well go all out and take the initiative to challenge. At least this way, Chingyun wouldn't lose to Song in terms of momentum. You're pretty confident when the time comes. I hope you've improved in these 2 months. Otherwise, when the time comes, you won't even be able to take half of my attack. That would be too boring. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Emo Tsang's expression changed and he revealed a cold smile. You too. Don't let me defeat you when the time comes. If that's the case, you'll be embarrassed. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said playfully. You don't have to worry about that. Emo Tsang indifferently replied. Then, he revealed a trace of a cunning expression and said, The 2 martial skills you just displayed don't seem to be from the clan's martial skill pavilion. As a direct descendant of the clan, you ought to make some contributions to the clan. Now, shouldn't you hand over those 2 martial skills to the clan? Emo Tsang, you. Hearing Emo Tsang's words, Emo Feilin's face instantly darkened. He pointed at Emo Tsang and said angrily. Emo Feilin was very clear that with Emo Tsang's status, once Emo Qingyun handed the martial techniques over to the family, Emo Tsang would quickly learn them. This was Emo Qingyun's trump card. If Emo Tsang also learned them, Emo Qingyun would be in a very passive position in the family competition at the end of the year. It seemed that Emo Tsang's actions were obviously ill-intentioned. This Emo Tsang is so treacherous. If Emo Qingyun handed the martial techniques over, they would probably fall into his hand. That's right. With Emo Tsang's status, he would naturally have the priority to choose the family's powerful martial technique. Seeing Emo Tsang's actions, the surrounding crowd looked at him with disdain and felt a sense of injustice for Emo Qingyun. While the crowd was feeling indignant, Emo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and said, Of course I have to hand them over to the family. Hey, are you an idiot? If you hand the martial techniques over to the family and Emo Tsang learns them, how are you going to compete with him in the family competition at the end of the year? After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Emo Zhao's face instantly changed and he anxiously whispered to Emo Qingyun. In response to Emo Zhao's words, Emo Qingyun calmly replied with a look and said to Emo Tsang, But not now. After the family competition at the end of the year, I will completely copy the martial techniques and hand them over to the family for all the younger generation in the family to learn them. What? Emo Qingyun really wants to hand those 2 martial techniques over to the family? Did I hear wrongly? And he also said that he wants all the younger generation in the family to learn them. Doesn't this mean that we will also have a chance to learn them? I am now looking forward to the results of my cultivation of those 2 martial techniques. After Emo Qingyun's words, there was another uproar. After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Emo Tsang's face turned ugly. He knew that his plan was ruined. His plan was to make Emo Qingyun hand over the 2 martial techniques now so that he would lose his 2 trump cards in the family competition at the end of the year. In this way, it would be much easier for him to deal with Emo Qingyun and prevent any unforeseen events from happening. But now, it seemed that this was impossible. Let's go. Chapter 14. Hearing Emo Tsang's words, Emo Hai's followers quickly helped Emo Hai up and left with Emo Tsang. After seeing Emo Tsang and the others leave, Emo Qingyun and Emo Feilin also walked out of the arena. Next, it was time to determine the 3rd, 4th, and the rest of the rankings. Not long after, the top 10 rankings were announced. Following the announcement of the top 10 rankings, it was time to give out the top 10 prizes. Emo Qingyun won 1st place in the monthly test and was rewarded with 10,000 gold coins. Seeing the 10,000 gold coins in his hands, Emo Qingyun smiled brightly. With these 10,000 gold coins, he would be able to buy enough herbs to refine the foundation establishment liquid to aid his cultivation. He was confident that with the help of these 10,000 gold coins, his cultivation would take a big step forward. Let's go back. Seeing Emo Qingyun receive the 10,000 gold coins, Emo Feilin greeted Emo Qingyun and smiled faintly. You've become rich all of a sudden, even your 4th uncle is a little jealous. Hearing Emo Feilin's words, Emo Qingyun was speechless for a moment. He smiled faintly and said, "Then should I buy fourth uncle a drink and bribe you? I don't want you to worry about me." Hearing Imochinyun's words, Imo-Feilin's expression froze for a moment, then he smiled and said, "You little monkey, you've got guts, teasing your fourth uncle. However, seeing that you're buying me a drink, I'll let you off this time." Hearing Imo-Feilin's words, Imo-Chinyun smiled good-naturedly. "However, this time it can't be just you and me, we'll have to bring your eldest uncle too." Imo-Feilin continued, "Come, let's go to your eldest uncle's house." "Okay." Imo-Chinyun nodded and followed behind Imo-Feilin. Not long after, Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feilin arrived at Imo-Feipeng's residence. "Chinyun, Feilin, you're here." Seeing the arrival of Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng, Imo-Feipeng smiled faintly and greeted them. He pointed at the stone bench in the courtyard and said, "Come, sit here." Then Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng sat beside Imo-Feipeng. After Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng sat down, Imo-Feipeng asked curiously, "Chinyun, with your cultivation in the fourth-layer body-tempering realm, you should be able to enter the top 30, right?" "Top 30? Hearing Imo-Feipeng's words, Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feilin were both stunned. They were somewhat surprised by Imo-Feipeng's words. Who would have thought that in Imo-Feipeng's heart, Imo-Chinyun would only be able to get into the top 30? Seeing Imo-Chinyun's expression, Imo-Feipeng's expression also changed, revealing a trace of disappointment. He thought that Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng's expressions were because they didn't enter the top 30. Then Imo-Feipeng sighed and comforted Imo-Chinyun, "Your cultivation has increased too quickly. It might be hard for you to control it in a short period of time. Therefore, you won't be able to display your true strength in a short period of time. That's why you didn't perform well in this month's examination. Don't be discouraged that you didn't enter the top 30 this time. You should stabilize your cultivation. In the next month's examination, Uncle believes that you will definitely obtain a good result." Imo-Feipeng continued, "Don't be discouraged. Next month's examination?" Hearing Imo-Feipeng's words, Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feilin bitterly smiled, speechless. Who would have thought that Imo-Feipeng actually didn't have much confidence that Imo-Chinyun would enter the top 30? At this moment, after seeing Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng's expressions, a strange thought arose in Imo-Feipeng's heart. Could it be that I guessed wrong? After thinking about this, Imo-Feipeng asked tentatively, "Could it be that in this month's examination, you didn't just enter the top 30? After saying this, Imo-Feipeng's face was filled with anticipation and joy. Then, Imo-Feipeng saw Imo-Chinyun nod his head in acknowledgement. Seeing Imo-Chinyun's reaction, Imo-Feipeng asked excitedly, Could it be that you entered the top 25? Although he knew that Imo-Chinyun didn't just enter the top 30, Imo-Feipeng didn't dare to increase his ranking by too much at once. Top 25? Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feilin were speechless again. Their expressions were gloomy. Couldn't Imo-Feipeng increase his ranking a bit at once? Seeing Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng's expressions, Imo-Feipeng felt that he had guessed wrong again. Could it be that Chinyun's ranking wasn't just in the top 25? When this thought appeared, Imo-Feipeng couldn't help but ask again, could it be that he entered the top 20? Top 20? Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng were once again speechless and unconsciously shook their heads. It seemed that Imo-Feipeng's understanding of Imo-Chinyun was still at the most primitive state of Imo-Chinyun. It would be difficult for him to change his understanding of Imo-Chinyun in such a short time. It was also because of this that Imo-Feipeng didn't dare to guess Imo-Chinyun's true ranking in the monthly examination. Seeing Imo-Chinyun and Imo-Feipeng shake their heads again, Imo-Feipeng's face twitched with excitement as he exclaimed, Could it be that Chinyun's ranking in this monthly examination is within the top 15? As he said this, Imo-Feipeng clenched his fist. His face was overflowing with joy. It was too unexpected. He had never imagined that Imo-Chinyun's ranking would actually be within the top 15. He had some understanding of the strength of the younger generation in the clan. Even though Mo Qingyun's cultivation was at tempered body 4th layer, it would still be difficult for him to enter the top 15. It seemed that Mo Qingyun wasn't bad at all. He had given him a huge surprise this time. However, at this moment, while Mo Feipeng was overjoyed that Mo Qingyun had entered the top 15, Mo Feilin couldn't bear to watch any longer. He didn't want Mo Feipeng to continue guessing. From his point of view, this was really too difficult for Mo Feipeng. Soon after, Mo Feilin sighed and said, "Big brother, is Qing Yun so unbearable in your eyes? Our Qing Yun can only enter the top 15? At this moment, Mo Feilin spoke with a righteous expression. He had already completely forgotten that Mo Qingyun's performance in the monthly examination was similar to Mo Feipeng's now. After hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Feipeng's expression unconsciously froze. He looked at Mo Feilin in shock and said, "Could it be that Qin Yun's ranking isn't just within the top 15? This?" Mo Feipeng was somewhat sluggish. He felt that his brain wasn't enough to process this. The surprise that Mo Qingyun had given him this time was too sudden and too exciting. "Yes." After hearing this, Mo Feilin nodded and said, "Qin Yun obtained first place in the monthly examination this time." "What? First place in the monthly examination? How is that possible?" After hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Feipeng immediately stood up. He looked at Mo Qingyun as if he was looking at a monster. If Mo Feilin didn't tell him, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have dared to guess first place. After a short moment of shock, Mo Feipeng suddenly laughed out loud. With an expression of understanding, he laughed and said, "I know. Fourth brother, is it because Qin Yun didn't perform very well in this monthly examination, so you guys made up a lie to deceive me? But even if you want to lie, you should be smarter. First place, how is that possible? I still understand the strength of the younger generation in the family. Although Qin Yun's strength is not bad, it is impossible for him to obtain first place." Mo Feipeng shook his head and smiled faintly. He didn't believe that Mo Qingyun would obtain first place in the monthly examination. After seeing Mo Feipeng's reaction, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin looked at each other helplessly and smiled bitterly. After that, Mo Feilin didn't want to explain any further. He threw the 10,000 gold coins in Mo Qingyun's Qiankuan pouch onto the stone table. He said, "This is Qin Yun's reward for obtaining first place in the monthly examination, 10,000 gold coins. He wants to use this to treat you and me to a drink." The Qiankuan pouch was a storage item in the Tianhun continent. By using a mustard seed to store a mountain, the pouch had a small space that could store items that were much larger than the pouch. Reward, 10,000 gold coins. Seeing Mo Feilin's action, Mo Feipeng was stunned. He looked at Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin with a blank expression. After a short moment of shock, Mo Feipeng quivered. He knew that Mo Qingyun really did obtain first place in the monthly examination. After that, Mo Feipeng's expression changed. He asked nervously, Could it be that Qin Yun really obtained first place in the monthly examination?" "Yes." Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin both nodded. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin nod, Mo Feipeng was overjoyed. He patted Mo Qingyun on the shoulder and laughed. Good, good, good! You really are OL3's son. You didn't lose face for him. If OL3 was here, I'm sure he would be very happy. Let's go. Let's go drink. Chapter 15. After a round of toasts, Mo Qingyun and the other two left the hotel and returned to the Mo family. After returning to the Mo family, Mo Qingyun and the other two returned to their respective residences. However, when Mo Feilin returned to his residence, he said to Mo Qingyun, "Qingyun, I'm going to Lianyun City tomorrow. Go back and prepare. I'll bring you around Lianyun City." "Okay." After hearing Mo Felin's words, Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement. According to Mo Qingyun's plan, the earlier he went to Lianyun City, the better. He could buy cultivation herbs and concoct a new foundation establishment elixir to aid his cultivation. Although there were some herbs for sale in the Zhenling Square in Beima Town, the variety was a little scarce. Many of the herbs that Mo Qingyun needed were not available in the Zhenling Square. This made Mo Qingyun feel a little helpless. Now that he could go to Lianyun City with Mo Felin, it was naturally a good thing for Mo Qingyun. Lianyun City was much more prosperous than Beima Town. Naturally, the medicinal herbs sold in Lianyun City were much more complete than those sold in pharmacies. After returning to his residence, Mo Qingyun did not stay idle and immediately started cultivating. There were only 2 months left until the family competition. Time was of the essence, and he could not afford to waste it. It was a quiet night. The next morning, Mo Qingyun went to Mo Felin's residence and waited for him to go to Lianyun City together. "Qingyun, you're here." Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Mo Felin smiled and greeted him. He packed up his luggage and said, "Let's go." Then, the two of them left Mo Felin's courtyard and arrived at the Mo family's gate. At this moment, there was a convoy waiting outside the gate. After Mo Felin arrived, the convoy started to depart. Beima Town was quite a distance away from Lianyun City. Under normal circumstances, it would take half a day to arrive. On the way, Mo Felin kept telling Mo Qingyun about the forces around Lianyun City. After a few hours, "This is Shirley Town. Among the hundreds of towns around Lianyun City, it is the closest town to Lianyun City and also the most powerful one." Mo Felin pointed to a relatively prosperous town beside the road and said, "Lianyun City is not far from here after we pass Shirley Town." "Yes." Along the way, Mo Qingyun nodded as he listened to Mo Felin's introduction. About 2 hours later, Mo Qingyun's team arrived at the outskirts of Lianyun City. "Stop. What do you do?" When Mo Qingyun's group arrived at the city gates, a city guard coldly said, stopping Mo Qingyun's group. "Brother Bing, we are a caravan from the Greenwood Trading Company. Please let us pass." As he spoke, Mo Felin walked up to the guard and took out a few gold coins from his qiankuan bag, stuffing them into the guard's hands. "Pay the entrance fee and go in." After receiving the gold coins from Mo Felin, the guard revealed a satisfied smile. He nodded and waved his hand, allowing Mo Felin's group to pass. Seeing this, Mo Felin took out a few more gold coins and paid the entrance fee. Lianyun City wasn't a small town like Beima Town. One had to pay an entrance fee to enter these big cities. Seeing Mo Felin's actions, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything and just looked on indifferently. As a supreme being in his previous life, he had seen many situations like this and wasn't surprised. In his previous life, he had his own city, Gucci City. If others wanted to enter, they had to pay an entrance fee. Moreover, the entrance fee to Gucci City was more than 1,000 times higher than the entrance fee to Lianyun City. After paying the entrance fee, Mo Qingyun's group entered Lianyun City in a grandiose manner. "Qingyun, Lianyun City isn't like Beima Town. There are many forces here that our Mo family can't afford to offend." After entering Lianyun City, Mo Felin said to Mo Qingyun with a solemn face, "You have to be more cautious in the future. Don't offend any terrifying forces and cause unnecessary trouble." "Got it, fourth uncle." Mo Qingyun nodded immediately after hearing this. He knew that Mo Felin said this out of concern for him. The Mo family's strength in Lianyun City could only be ranked at the bottom. Most of the forces here weren't people that the Mo family could afford to offend. Mo Felin didn't want to see Mo Qingyun offend some powerful forces. If they wanted to harm Mo Qingyun, the Mo family wouldn't be able to do anything about it. This was what Mo Felin was most worried about. He didn't want such a thing to happen. Therefore, he reminded Mo Qingyun in advance. After that, Mo Feilin told Mo Qingyun about the situation in Lianyun City, as well as some things to take note of. While the two were talking, they arrived at a shop called the Greenwood Trading Company. This is our Mo family's shop in Lianyun City. After arriving at the Greenwood Trading Company, Mo Feilin introduced to Mo Qingyun with a smile. After hearing Mo Feilin's introduction, Mo Qingyun saw a lot of wood piled up in the courtyard of the shop. These wood were the Mo family's business in Greenwood City. It was also one of the Mo family's main sources of income. The business of the Mo family's Greenwood Trading Company in Lianyun City was pretty good. Therefore, some of the other families in Baima Town were very envious of the Mo family's Greenwood Trading Company. The front part of the courtyard was the shop, while the back part was the residence. After passing through the courtyard filled with wood, Mo Qingyun followed Mo Feilin to a small courtyard. You can stay here for the time being. If you need anything, just let me know. Mo Feilin pointed to a room in the small courtyard and smiled at Mo Qingyun. Okay, I got it. Mo Qingyun nodded. I still have some things to take care of. When I'm done, I'll show you around Lianyun City. Mo Feilin smiled again. Fourth uncle, go ahead. I'll walk around by myself. Mo Qingyun smiled after hearing Mo Feilin's words. You'll walk around by yourself? Mo Feilin was stunned and hesitated. Obviously, he was worried about Mo Qingyun going out by himself. Seeing Mo Feilin's expression, Mo Qingyun felt warm in his heart. He smiled faintly and said, Fourth uncle, don't worry. I won't cause any trouble. I'm just walking around. I'll be back soon. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Feilin didn't say anything else. He nodded and said, Since that's the case, you can walk around by yourself first. However, you must remember that this place isn't like Northern Desert Town. You have to be humble when you encounter something. Otherwise, the clan won't be able to help if something happens. Okay, I understand. I'll be careful. Mo Qingyun nodded and left the Greenwood firm. He walked around Lianyun City, intending to look for a shop that sold medicinal herbs. The main purpose of his trip was to buy some medicinal herbs and refine a new foundation establishment liquid for cultivation. Therefore, Mo Qingyun didn't want to delay any further. The sooner he bought the medicinal herbs, the sooner he could start cultivating. However, Lianyun City was much bigger than Baima Town. After walking around for more than an hour, Mo Qingyun still hadn't seen a shop that sold medicinal herbs. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't plan to continue walking around Lianyun City like a headless fly. I'll go back and see if fourth uncle is done. With him leading the way, everything will be much more convenient. Chapter 16. A moment later, Mo Qingyun returned to the Greenwood Trading Company. Qingyun, you're back. Seeing Mo Qingyun's return, Mo Feilin smiled faintly. He approached Mo Qingyun and said with a smile, You must be hungry. Let's go, I'll take you to a tavern in the city and have a taste of Lianyun City's delicacies. And hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and followed Mo Qingyun out of the Greenwood Trading Company. Not long after, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin arrived at a tavern called Delicious House. This delicious house wasn't small, occupying nearly 1,000 square meters. It was richly ornamented, with a courtyard and pavilions. At first glance, one could tell that it was a high-class establishment. This delicious house is one of the most famous taverns in Lianyun City. The dishes here are the most authentic. I've been here once. Arriving at the entrance of the delicious house, Mo Feilin introduced the place to Mo Qingyun and said, Let's go in and find a seat. Mo Feilin had been here once to negotiate a big business deal. He had invited a big client to eat here once, but he couldn't bear to eat here by himself. The dishes here weren't cheap. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin entered the delicious house and found a quiet place to sit down in the main hall on the first floor. After the two sat down, Mo Feline called for the waiter and ordered a few of the delicious house's signature dishes. Fourth uncle, just order a few dishes, Mo Qingyun advised with a frown when he saw the dishes Mo Feline ordered. The total price was close to 1,000 gold coins. Mo Qingyun knew very well that although Mo Feline was the Mo family's steward in Lianyun City, his monthly salary was limited. Previously, Mo Feline had spent a lot of money to buy glazed stalactite for Mo Qingyun. Now, in order to let Mo Qingyun taste Lianyun City's delicacies, Mo Feline once again spent a lot of money. This made Mo Qingyun extremely touched. Fourth uncle's love for them was impeccable. At least you still have some conscience. However, if you don't order a few signature dishes at the delicious house, you'll be wasting your time here. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Feline's heart was slightly moved as he laughed out loud. Hearing Mo Feline's words, Mo Qingyun did not say anything else and went along with Mo Feline's wishes. However, after agreeing to Mo Feline's decision, Mo Qingyun secretly made a decision. Fourth uncle, I'll definitely repay your kindness in the future. Mo Qingyun could tell that Mo Feline was currently stuck at LV9 True Energy Realm, unable to enter the True Energy Realm. At this moment, he was thinking that if he had the means in the future, he would concoct some pills for Mo Feline to improve his cultivation. The efficiency of the delicious house was very high. In a short while, several dishes were served. Come, try this chilled cloud snowfish and grilled fire cloud beast. Seeing that the dishes were served, Mo Feline raised his hand and gestured for Mo Qingyun to taste them. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun did not stand on ceremony. He immediately picked up a piece of cloud snowfish and placed it in his mouth. The meat of the cloud snowfish was very delicate and melted in his mouth. It was like a piece of ice in his mouth. There was a hint of coolness amidst the freshness, and the texture was very good. Compared to the cloud snowfish, the grilled fire cloud beast's texture was completely different. The fire cloud beast was a fire-type demonic beast. Therefore, its meat had a hint of fire aura and was very chewy. In addition, the fire cloud beast was also a powerful demonic beast. A powerful fire cloud beast was comparable to a peak True Energy Realm powerhouse. It was also because of this that the fire cloud beast's meat was very rich. With every bite of the fire cloud beast's meat, Mo Qingyun could feel a surge of fire energy being absorbed by his scarlet flame dragon martial soul. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately ordered more than half of the plate of fire cloud beast's meat. Mo Feline did not know the real reason why Mo Qingyun wanted to eat the fire cloud beast. Seeing this, he thought that Mo Qingyun liked the grilled fire cloud beast very much. He smiled and said, "It's not bad, right? If you like it, we can order another portion." After hearing Mo Feline's words, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed. He quickly stopped Mo Feline and said, "No need, one portion is enough." When they were ordering earlier, Mo Qingyun discovered that the fire cloud beast's meat was the most expensive. One portion cost about 400 gold coins. This was not something that Mo Qingyun could afford right now. One portion was already very extravagant. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, although the fire cloud beast's meat contained the power of fire, it was not as effective as the Foundation Establishment elixir. He felt that if he had the money to eat the fire cloud beast's meat, it would be better to buy some Foundation Establishment elixir. After about 2 hours, Mo Qingyun and Mo Feline had finished all the dishes on the table. After eating the fire cloud beast's meat, Mo Qingyun discovered that his cultivation had improved a little. He was much closer to the 5th stage of body tempering realm. Apart from that, he also discovered that after absorbing the power of fire from the fire cloud beast, the soul power of his scarlet flame dragon martial soul had increased by a lot. Fourth uncle, do you know where to sell medicinal herbs in Lianyun City? After eating to their heart's content, Mo Qingyun asked Mo Feline, "Where to sell medicinal herbs?" After hearing this, Mo Feline pondered. He paused and said, "Let's go to the Pavilion of Herbs. It's the largest pharmacy in Lianyun City. It has all kinds of medicinal herbs and the prices are very reasonable. Fourth uncle, I plan to buy some medicinal herbs to concoct the foundation establishment elixir. Come with me." After hearing Mo Feline's words, Mo Qinyun did not hesitate and said to Mo Feline, "Okay." Mo Feline nodded and led Mo Qinyun to the Pavilion of Herbs. After a short while, Mo Qinyun and Mo Feline arrived at the Pavilion of Herbs. After arriving at the Pavilion of Herbs, Mo Qinyun did not hesitate and walked straight into the Pavilion of Herbs. The Pavilion of Herbs operated in a similar way to the Zhenling workshop in Beima town. First, write the prescription, pay the fee, and collect the medicinal herbs. As for whether one needed to decoct, refine pills, it depended on one's need. Mo Qinyun was very clear about the real purpose of this model. The reason why these pharmacies did this was to see if they could dig out some prescription for refining pills. One must know that some people who did not know the inside story would truthfully write down the medicinal herbs needed for the prescription. However, Mo Qinyun did not care about this. After all, he was the youngest alchemy venerable in the Tianhun continent in his previous life. If he wanted to change the prescription, these people in the Pavilion of Herbs would not have the ability to dig it out. Seeing this, Mo Qinyun did not hesitate anymore. He picked up the brush and ink and wrote down the prescription. Then, he paid the fee and went to the counter to get the medicinal herbs. After a short while, the medicinal herbs were ready. Seeing this, Mo Qinyun took them from the counter staff and walked toward Mo Feline. At this moment, two women stood in front of Mo Feline. They were about the same age as Mo Feline. The two women looked very similar and should be a pair of sisters. Looking at them, they seemed to be familiar with Mo Feline. After glancing at the two women, Mo Qinyun noticed that the younger woman seemed to be looking at Mo Feline with a hint of tenderness. As for the older woman, there was a hint of disgust and contempt in her eyes when she looked at Mo Feline. After seeing this, Mo Qinyun, with his experience in his previous life, naturally understood the situation at hand. Chapter 17. Mo Qinyun chuckled playfully as he walked toward Mo Qinyun. Fourth uncle. Mo Qinyun walked up to Mo Feline and greeted him. "Who are they?" "Qinyun, allow me to introduce them to you. These two are the young misses of Tenli Town's Wu clan, Wu Rou and Wu Qing." Upon seeing Mo Qinyun's arrival, Mo Feline smiled faintly as he introduced the two ladies to Mo Qinyun. Following which, Mo Feline introduced Mo Qinyun to Wu Rou and Wu Qing. "Ruru, big sister Qing, this is my third brother's son, Mo Qinyun." After hearing Mo Feline's introduction, Mo Rou politely nodded at Mo Qinyun to greet him. However, upon hearing Mo Feline's introduction, Wu Qing's lips curled in disdain as she remarked, "What's there to introduce to a country bumpkin?" Upon hearing Wu Qing's words, Mo Qinyun frowned as a hint of disgust and coldness flashed across his eyes. However, out of consideration for Mo Feline, Mo Qinyun didn't say anything. He simply shot a glance at Wu Qing before ignoring her. On the other hand, Wu Qing shot a disdainful look at Mo Feline and said, "Mo Feline, I hope that you'll remember who you are. Ruru isn't a name that you can address." As soon as Wu Qing said those words, Mo Feline immediately felt a little awkward. He chuckled awkwardly as he shot a glance at Wu Rou. Seeing Mo Feline's awkward expression, Wu Rou couldn't help but feel embarrassed. She glared at Wu Qing and said, "Big sister, how can you say such things about Feline? Feline, my big sister, is a straightforward person. Please don't take her words to heart." Wu Rou looked apologetic as she explained to Mo Feline. From the looks of it, it seemed like she still cared about Mo Feline. Upon seeing this, Mo Qingyun gained a clearer understanding of the relationship between Mo Feilin and Wu Rou. From the looks of it, it seemed that Wu Rou and Mo Feilin were interested in each other, while the Wu clan looked down on Mo Feilin. Hearing Wu Rou's apology, Mo Feilin felt touched and smiled. Ruru, don't worry. I won't be angry with Big Sister Qing. Don't call me Sister Qing. I'm not your sister. Don't try to get close to me. Then, she turned to Wu Rou and said, Rou, don't forget that father has already said that if he can't take out 10,000 spirit essence stones as a betrothal gift, you're not allowed to interact with him in the future. 10,000 spirit essence stones. Hearing Wu Qing's words, Mo Feilin and Wu Rou's faces paled. At this moment, not only did Mo Feilin and Wu Rou feel powerless, even Mo Qingyun was slightly surprised. To Mo Feilin, 10,000 spirit essence stones was a single day. The elemental spirit stone was a type of stone that contained the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It could be used by true energy boundary experts to cultivate. Under normal circumstances, a piece of elemental spirit stone was worth 10,000 gold coins, and there was no market for it. From this, one could see how precious the elemental spirit stone was. But now, the prerequisite for Mo Feilin to interact with Mo Rou was that he had to take out 10,000 spirit essence stones. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the Wu family was deliberately making things difficult for Mo Feilin. Not to mention Mo Feilin, even if the entire Mo family sold everything they had, they still wouldn't be able to gather 10,000 spirit essence stones. Let alone 10,000 spirit essence stones, even 100 spirit essence stones would be difficult. Perhaps even their Wu family wouldn't be able to take out 10,000 spirit essence stones. Seeing the worried expressions on Mo Feilin and Wu Rou's faces, Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and began to ponder. After a short moment of thought, Mo Qingyun looked at Wu Rou with a playful expression and said, "Fourth aunt, you don't need to worry. My fourth uncle will definitely gather enough betrothal gift. You can rest assured and wait for him." Mo Qingyun's words weren't empty words. When he said these words, he had already made up his mind. 10,000 spirit essence stones was an astronomical number to Mo Feilin. But to Mo Qingyun, it was just a matter of a few furnaces of second-grade pills. It wasn't difficult at all. If it really didn't work, he could take out some martial skills and auction them off in the auction house in Lianyun City. Although this might cause some unnecessary trouble, Mo Qingyun was willing to take this risk for Mo Feilin. Fourth aunt. When Mo Qingyun called out, Mo Feilin and the other two were stunned. They looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. After a short moment of shock, Wu Rou's face flushed red and she looked at Mo Feilin shyly. However, from Wu Rou's expression, she didn't seem to reject Mo Qingyun's actions. Even though Wu Rou didn't say anything, Wu Qing's face darkened when she heard Zhang Xian's words. She said coldly, "You're young, but you sure are arrogant. 10,000 spirit essence stones aren't something that can be easily obtained." Seeing how arrogant Wu Qing was, Mo Qingyun looked at her with disdain. Then, he turned to Mo Feilin and said, "Fourth uncle, let's go first. With an unwanted yellow-faced shrew around, it won't be easy for you to talk to fourth aunt." Yellow-faced shrew. As soon as Mo Qingyun said those words, Wu Qing and the other two's faces changed again. They quickly turned to look at Mo Qingyun. At this moment, not only were Wu Qing and the other two looking at Mo Qingyun, but even the guests and the employees of the Pavilion of Herbs were looking at Mo Qingyun in shock. Many people knew about Wu Rou and Wu Feilin's background. They were from the Wu clan of Tenli Town, and they had some influence in Lianyun City. They could be considered a second-rate power in Lianyun City. Yet, a country bumpkin actually dared to speak to Wu Qing in such a manner. It was truly shocking. "Country bumpkin, you're courting death." Wu Qing flew into a rage when she heard Mo Qingyun's words. She raised her hand and sent a slap toward Mo Qingyun. Mo Feilin's face changed when he saw Wu Qing's actions. He hurriedly explained, "Big Sister Qing, please don't be angry. Qing Yun didn't mean it that way." At the same time, Mo Feilin raised his hand to block Wu Qing's attack. Wu Qing might be young, but she was a true energy realm first-layer expert. Her slap wasn't something that Mo Qingyun could withstand. Even though Mo Feilin managed to block Wu Qing's slap, he was still forced to retreat. His face was a little red, and his blood was in turmoil. "Feilin, are you all right?" Wu Rou asked worriedly when she saw Mo Feilin in such a state. She helped Mo Feilin up and looked at Wu Qing reproachfully. "Big sister, you're too much. How could you hit Feilin so hard?" How can you blame me for that? He was the one who wanted to take the slap for that brat." Wu Qing replied nonchalantly when she saw Mo Feilin's injuries. Then, she turned to look at Mo Qingyun coldly and said, "Brat, I'll give you a chance to apologize on account that Mo Feilin took the slap for you. Slap yourself 100 times and kowtow to me, and I'll let you off this once." 100 times and kowtow to you? A cold glint flashed across Mo Qingyun's eyes when he heard Wu Qing's words. With a haughty look on his face, he said coldly, "Let me tell you this. If you apologize to fourth uncle right now, I'll let you off this once on account that you're fourth aunt's elder sister. Otherwise, even if you apologize to me in the future, I won't give you another chance." "You want me to apologize to you? What a joke. You're just a country bumpkin. What right do you have to make me apologize to you?" Wu Qing sneered coldly when she heard Mo Qingyun's words. It was as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. After sneering for a moment, Wu Qing turned to Wu Rou and Mo Feilin and said, "You've seen it for yourself. It's not that I didn't give him a chance, it's just that he chose not to fight for it." Hearing Wu Qing's words, Wu Rou and Mo Feilin hesitated for a moment. Asking Mo Qingyun to slap himself 100 times and kowtow to him was simply too much. However, Wu Qing had an extraordinary background. Now that Mo Qingyun had offended her, Mo Feilin was worried that Wu Qing would seek revenge on Mo Qingyun. Amidst the silence, one of the apothecaries suddenly spoke up. He looked at Mo Qingyun and sneered coldly, "Brat, if I were you, I would kowtow to Miss Wu Qing right now and slap myself 100 times. Ha ha ha! I believe that given Miss Wu Qing's magnanimity, she'll surely let you off," the alchemist said as he looked at Wu Qing with a flattering smile. Wu Qing was clearly enjoying the flattery of the alchemist. Hearing those words, a gleeful smile appeared on her face. She looked at Mo Qingyun haughtily, waiting for Mo Qingyun to kowtow to her and apologize. However, just as everyone was waiting for Mo Qingyun to make his next move, Mo Qingyun's face darkened as he shot a disdainful look at the alchemist who had just spoken. "If I were you, I would shut up right now and take good care of this pill cauldron. Otherwise, if this batch of yuan-gathering pills explodes, given Wu Qing's magnanimity, she won't let you off easily." With Mo Qingyun's eye of discernment, he could tell that there was a problem with the cauldron. The cauldron was too big, and if this went on, there was a high chance that it would explode. Other than that, Mo Qingyun also noticed that Wu Rou and Mo Feilin were here to purchase medicinal herbs to forge pills. However, they chose to forge pills on the spot, and this alchemist was the one who would be forging the pills for them. Of course, the pills that Wu Qing and Mo Feilin were forging weren't graded. The higher the grade of a pill, the more difficult it would be to forge it. As such, one couldn't afford to be disturbed in the slightest. The pills that were being forged in the hall were all low-grade pills. Under normal circumstances, as long as one wasn't disturbed, nothing would happen. Chapter 18. My pill will explode? The apothecary was stunned for a moment before he burst into laughter. "Did you hear what he said? He said that my pill will explode. What a joke. Lad, you might not know this, but Grandmaster Jiang Qing was already an advanced apprentice apothecary 3 years ago. He's already a quasi-grade 1 apothecary now. At this moment, after Jiang Cheng's words were spoken, a low-level alchemist beside him introduced Jiang Cheng with a flattering look on his face. Apothecaries were divided into apprentice apothecary, grade 1 apothecary, grade 9 apothecary, pill king, pill emperor, and pill exalted. Under normal circumstances, only those who had reached the level of an advanced apothecary would be addressed as a grandmaster. Yet, Jiang Cheng was only an advanced apprentice apothecary, and yet, he was being addressed as a grandmaster. However, it was clear that Jiang Cheng enjoyed being addressed as such. After hearing Grandmaster Jiang Cheng's words, he immediately revealed a proud expression. "Lad, I don't know how you could tell that I'm forging a Yuan Dan, but do you really think that you know how to forge pills just because of that?" Jiang Cheng raised his head proudly as he looked at Mo Qingyun. "I can only say that you're too naive." Hee. Is that so? Hearing Jiang Cheng's words and looking at the situation in the cauldron, Mo Qingyun chuckled softly. "Initially, I thought that your pill could still be saved, but it seems like there's no hope at all. It'll explode within 10 breaths." After saying those words, Mo Qingyun turned to Mo Feline and Wu Rou and said, "Fourth uncle, fourth aunt, let's stand to the side so that the explosion won't affect you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wu Rou and Mo Feline were stunned. After a moment of hesitation, they obeyed Mo Qingyun's words and walked to the side. "Big sister." Perhaps out of concern for Wu Qing, Wu Rou turned to look at Wu Qing and gestured for her to stand by the side. When Wu Qing saw Wu Rou's actions, she harumphed coldly. I don't believe that a country bumpkin knows how to forge pills. If this cauldron explodes, I'll... Bang! But before Wu Qing could finish her words, a loud explosion sounded in the hall. The pill exploded. When this sound rang out, everyone's heart skipped a beat, and this thought unconsciously appeared in their minds. Then, everyone realized that the source of the voice was the alchemist from Rivertown. The pill really exploded. Looking at the alchemy cauldron that had already shattered under the explosion of the pill, everyone had an answer in their hearts. If Mo Qingyun was right, within 10 breaths of time, this cauldron of pills would definitely explode. Soon after, the way the crowd looked at Mo Qingyun had changed. Could it be that Mo Qingyun was also an alchemist? Otherwise, how could Mo Qingyun have predicted that the furnace of elixirs in Rivertown would explode? More importantly, Mo Qingyun could predict things that Jiang City couldn't. Didn't this mean that Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills were above Jiang City's? Jiang City was a quasi-grade 1 alchemist, and Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills were above his. Didn't this mean that Mo Qingyun was a grade 1 alchemist? As for those above grade 1, no one dared to guess. After all, Mo Qingyun was still too young. Right now, Mo Qingyun's age gave people the impression that he was only 15 or 16 years old. Many people who were 15 or 16 years old were still beginner alchemy apprentices. And now, Mo Qingyun was very likely to be a grade 1 alchemist. That was a little scary. In Lianyan City, there were only a handful of grade 1 alchemists who were 15 or 16 years old. At this moment, many people couldn't help but think that if Mo Qingyun didn't meet with any accidents, his alchemy skills would definitely not be low. At the very least, he would be able to become a grade 3 alchemist, or even a grade 4 alchemist. Thinking of this, many people looked at Mo Qingyun with fiery and ambiguous gazes. A future grade 3 or even grade 4 alchemist was definitely worth befriending. "Qingyun, how did you know?" Seeing the fiery gazes of the surrounding people, Mo Feline was also shocked. He looked at Mo Qingyun in disbelief. Mo Qingyun didn't answer Mo Feline's question directly. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, "Fourth uncle, this matter is a little complicated. I will explain it to you in the future." "Alright." Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't want to talk about it, Mo Feline didn't continue to ask. After all, there were outsiders around and it was indeed taboo to talk about it. After replying to Mo Feline, Mo Qingyun looked at the equally surprised Wu Rou and smiled. Fourth aunt, you must wait for my fourth uncle. He will definitely gather enough betrothal gift. Hearing Mo Qingyun call her fourth aunt again, Wu Rou couldn't help but blush. She nodded her head, not daring to look at Mo Feilin. I'm impossible. How could a country bumpkin know how to refine pills? Wu Qing exclaimed in shock. She had already become a little unkempt after the explosion of pills in Rivertown. As for Jiang Qing, he was knocked unconscious by the explosion of the elixir and lost consciousness. Mo Qingyun's face darkened when he heard Wu Qing's words. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said, "Humph. The Heavenly Soul Continent is huge, and Lianyun City is just a small town in the Heavenly Soul Continent. In the eyes of some major powers, Lianyun City is just a small town. What right do you have to call someone a country bumpkin? The Heavenly Soul Continent was huge, and Lianyun City was just a small town in the Heavenly Soul Continent." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone's expression changed as they looked at the skinny youth in front of them with surprise. They didn't think that the youth in front of them would say something like this. It was obvious that he had great ambitions. It seemed that Lianyun City wouldn't be able to stop him. At this moment, while everyone was still shocked by Mo Qingyun's words, a young man rushed into the Pavilion of Herbs excitedly. The Alchemist Alliance Guild has started to recruit apprentices. Moreover, Master Zhao Qi will choose one of the apprentices to be his personal disciple. The moment the young man entered the Pavilion of Herbs, he said excitedly, "Don't just stand there. Go and give it a try. This kind of opportunity doesn't come often." The Alchemist Alliance Guild is recruiting apprentices? How is that possible? Aren't only grade 1 alchemists qualified to enter? Master Zhao Qi? Is he that high grade 3 alchemist? The highest grade alchemist in Lianyun City? If he's chosen by Master Zhao Qi, it'll be like a carp leaping over the dragon's gate. I wonder who will be so lucky. In an instant, the entire hall on the first floor of the Pavilion of Herbs was in an uproar. The Alchemist Alliance Guild? Mo Qingyun knew quite a bit about the Alchemist Alliance Guild. In his previous life, he was one of the founding members of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. I didn't expect there to be a branch in Lianyun City. I can go and take a look. After a short moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun frowned. He had a plan in mind. Now that the Mo clan's foundation in Lianyun City was shallow, he needed someone to rely on. The Alchemist Alliance Guild was clearly a good choice. Apart from that, he also needed an identity that would make it easier for him to move around Lianyun City in the future. Being a member of the Alchemist Alliance Guild was a good choice. After thinking about it, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He said to Mo Feilin, "Fourth uncle, I'll go and take a look as well." "All right." Mo Feilin nodded his head and agreed. He followed Mo Qingyun to the Alchemist Alliance Guild. In Mo Feilin's opinion, Mo Qingyun was probably going to the Alchemist Alliance Guild to try his luck and see if he could become a member of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. Seeing that Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin were heading to the Alchemist Alliance Guild, Wu Rou came to Wu Qing's side and asked with concern, "Sister, are you all right? Why don't we go back first?" "I'm fine." Looking at Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin walking away, Wu Qing's face was cold. After replying to Wu Rou, she said, "That brat also wants to become a member of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. Let's go to the Alchemist Alliance Guild as well. I want to see how he'll embarrass himself in front of everyone." Chapter 19. There were a total of 4 superpowers in Lianyun City. The Alchemist Alliance was one of them. It was as famous as the other 3 superpowers, the City Lord Manor, the Heavenly Dragon Triad, and the Mount Tai sect. From this, it could be seen that the Alchemist Alliance had a huge influence in Lianyun City. A meticulous person would even realize that the Alchemist Alliance might be the strongest among the 4 superpowers in terms of influence. After all, in the world of martial arts, no one could guarantee that they wouldn't need elixirs. The Alchemist Alliance was located in the center of the east side of Lianyun City. It occupied an area of 1,000 mu. Numerous buildings rose from the ground. They were majestic and magnificent, displaying the might of the Alchemist Alliance. After arriving at the Alchemist Alliance, Mo Qinyun couldn't help but sigh when he saw the scale of the Alchemist Alliance. Compared to the Alchemist Alliance, the Mo clan was simply too weak. When Mo Qinyun and Mo Qinyun arrived, the outside of the Alchemist Union was already filled with people. These people all had looks of anticipation and excitement on their faces. From the looks of it, they should be here to compete for the position of Alchemist Apprentice for the Alchemist Alliance Guild. After a short while, just as everyone was waiting anxiously, a few people finally walked out of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. The leader of the group was an old man. He glanced at the people below the stairs and slowly said, "This time, the Alchemist Alliance will break the precedent and recruit 100 apprentice alchemists with potential. However, there are some requirements for these 100 apprentice alchemists. First of all, they must be below 20 years old." Below 20 years old. When this requirement was announced, a large number of people's faces dimmed. It seemed that they didn't meet the requirements. After announcing the requirements, the old man ignored those who left and said, "Those who meet the requirements, come over here to register your name and basic information." The old man pointed to the right side of the stairs. Unknowingly, a platform had been set up there to register everyone's information. About a quarter of an hour later, all the people who met the requirements had registered their information. Humph! This brat is indeed here to take the test for the apprentice alchemist slot. Outside the Apothecary Alliance Guild, Wu Qing's face darkened when she saw Mo Qinyun filling in the form as well. After everyone had filled in their information, the old man took the register that recorded everyone's name and information. He glanced at it and said, "Now, everyone, stand properly. I will begin to check the strength of your soul." At this moment, as the old man was speaking, several youths behind him carried a white boulder to the crowd. Seeing the white boulder being carried out, the old man pointed at the boulder and said, "This is the soul testing stone. It will test the rank of your soul. Only those who have reached the middle rank of soul strength will meet the requirements of this recruitment." Soul strength was divided into 6 grades: low grade, middle grade, high grade, supreme grade, perfect grade, and flawless grade. As soon as the old man said this, the remaining people became nervous again. Following this, another group of people would most likely be eliminated during the soul grade examination. When the soul grade examination begins later, all you have to do is walk up to the soul testing stone and place your hand on it. Looking down at the nervous crowd below, the old man slowly said, "At that time, the soul testing stone will reveal different colors according to the strength of your soul. The colors are red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Red means that your soul doesn't enter the grade, orange means that your soul is low grade, and so on for the 6 grades of your soul." The first one was Chen Jiwei. Upon hearing the old man's call, the young man named Chen Jiwei walked up to the soul testing stone anxiously and placed his hand on the soul testing stone. Following which, the color of the soul testing stone began to change, eventually settling on a faint crimson color. Faint crimson meant that one's soul was ungraded. Upon seeing this sight, the old man said calmly, "Your soul grade is ungraded. You're disqualified." Hearing the old man's words, Chen Jiwei's face paled, and he left dejectedly. The next one was Lu Dalan. Following which, another young man walked up and placed his hand on the soul testing stone, but the result was still crimson. "Your soul grade is ungraded. You're disqualified." Hearing this result, Lu Dalan's face also paled, and he left dejectedly. The next one was Li Chengqiao. Another young man was called. He walked up nervously and placed his hand on the soul testing stone. Not long after, the soul-testing stone shone and the color quickly changed. In the end, it settled between orange and yellow. Seeing this, Li Chengchao's face immediately tensed up, and he looked at the old man. Middle grade. You're disqualified. Hearing the old man's words, Li Chengchao was pleasantly surprised. Under the envious gazes of the surrounding people, he slowly walked to the side. Just like this, one by one, the young men were called to have their soul grade tested. About a few hours later, more than half of the people who had registered their information had already had their soul grade tested. However, less than 30% of the people met the requirement. Although only 30% met the requirements, the number of people still far exceeded 100. The next one was Yu Taiwan. It's Yu Taiwan. I heard that he's already a grade 1 alchemist. I didn't expect him to come. Yu Taiwan's talent in alchemy is amazing, and he's ranked in the top 10 in Lianyun City. His soul grade should be very high. It seems that Yu Taiwan is here for Master Zhao Qi's personal disciple. At this moment, just as the old man's words fell, the surrounding people immediately became restless. Then, Mo Qingyun saw a young man with an imposing appearance slowly walking up to them. Greetings, Master Su Chuan. Yu Taiwan walked up and bowed to the old man. Then, with an arrogant expression, he raised his hand and placed it on the soul-testing stone. Immediately, the soul-testing stone shone brightly, and the color quickly changed, and finally, it became cyan blue. Wow! It's cyan blue. Yu Taiwan's talent is extraordinary. His soul grade should be high grade. High grade. It seems to be the highest grade and the only one. It seems that Yu Taiwan will be Master Zhao Qi's personal disciple this time. After seeing Yu Taiwan's soul grade, the surrounding people were envious. High-grade soul strength. Seeing the grade of Yu Taiwan's soul, the cold old man, Su Chuan, revealed a smile of admiration. Then, under the envious gazes of the crowd, Yu Taiwan slowly walked to the side and waited. A moment later, another group of people went through the soul test, and only a small number of them passed. Next was Mo Qingyun. After several hours of waiting, it was finally Mo Qingyun's turn. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and walked up to the soul-testing stone. Seeing that it was Mo Qingyun's turn, Wu Qing's face darkened. Because of Mo Qingyun, she had been standing here for several hours for nothing. I'd like to see what grade your soul is. If the soul-testing stone doesn't light up later, you'll make a fool of yourself. Seeing Mo Qingyun walk up to the stone, Wu Qing's face was filled with resentment. Compared to Wu Qing, Wu Rou was more curious. She wanted to know what grade Mo Qingyun's soul was. On the other hand, Mo Feilin clenched his fists tightly in anticipation, hoping that Mo Qingyun would pass the test. Just like that, under everyone's expectant gazes, Mo Qingyun walked up to the soul-testing stone and placed his hand on it casually. "HM? That lad seems to be different from the others." Seeing Mo Qingyun's nonchalant attitude, Su Chuan's face warped in curiosity. Under normal circumstances, the more focused one was during the soul test, the better the result would be. For someone like Mo Qingyun, who was a little sloppy and nonchalant, the result of the soul test would usually be quite different from the actual result. But even so, when Mo Qingyun placed his hand on the soul-testing stone, the soul-testing stone glowed brightly, and its color began to change rapidly. The color is changing so quickly. It's already yellow. Is this fellow's soul really that powerful? Look, it's changing again. It's turning green. Doesn't that mean that his talent is even higher than Yu Taiwan's? It's changing again. Blue. Transcendent talent. This fellow's talent is truly monstrous. Seeing the color of the soul-testing stone changing continuously, the crowd exclaimed in shock. In the end, the color of the soul-testing stone stopped changing from blue to green. This meant that Mo Qingyun's soul was between transcendent grade and perfect grade. Upon seeing this sight, everyone was dumbfounded. They stared at Emo Qingyun as if they were looking at a monster. Emo Qingyun's soul was actually between perfect and transcendent. Just how monstrous must he be to achieve such a feat? I am possible. How can that country bumpkin's talent be so good? Wu Qing's face was filled with horror after seeing the results of the test. It was as if she had seen a ghost. This is great. Qingyun's soul is actually so powerful. This means that he has a good chance of entering the Apothecary Alliance. Seeing Emo Qingyun's results, Emo Feilin was also overjoyed. Feilin's nephew is actually so talented. Perhaps he might really be able to help Feilin. If that's the case, what he said before. Recalling what Emo Qingyun had said to her previously, Wu Ro's face reddened in agitation as she turned to look at Emo Feilin. Chapter 20. The color of the soul-testing stone was fixed between blue and green. Su Chuan's face lit up as he looked at Emo Qingyun, as if he was looking at a piece of unpolished jade. He knew that Emo Qingyun wasn't concentrating just now. Otherwise, Emo Qingyun's soul strength would be even higher. Didn't that mean that Emo Qingyun's soul strength could be perfect? That's right, perfect. Emo Qingyun's true soul strength was actually at the perfect grade. This time, the recruitment of apprentice alchemists actually produced a disciple with perfect soul strength. This was too shocking, too surprising for him. He had picked up a treasure. A person with perfect grade soul strength, if there were no accidents, would have a high chance of becoming a high-level alchemist. A high-tier alchemist was something that had never appeared in Lianyun City since ancient times. Although he guessed Emo Qingyun's soul strength, Su Chuan didn't plan to say it out loud. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun did that just now because he didn't want others to know his soul strength. Thinking of this, Su Chuan suppressed the excitement in his heart and looked at Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun, transcendent grade soul strength. Transcendent grade. That kid's soul strength is transcendent grade. What a terrifying talent, even more terrifying than Yu Taiwan. It seems that this kid will very likely become Grandmaster Zhao Qi's personal disciple. Hearing Su Chuan announce Emo Qingyun's soul strength rank, the surrounding people were envious. However, while the crowd was envious, Su Chuan revealed a flattering smile as he looked at Emo Qingyun. Kid, are you willing to be my disciple? When Su Chuan's words came out, the crowd quieted down. Everyone's eyes widened as they couldn't believe their ears. Su Chuan actually wanted to take Emo Qingyun as his disciple. From the looks of it, he was worried that Emo Qingyun wouldn't agree. Who was Su Chuan? Many people knew that this was a big shot in the Alchemist Alliance Guild. He was a top-tier Tier 2 alchemist. With just one more step, he would become a Tier 3 alchemist and become one of the big shots in the Alchemist Alliance. And now, such a person actually wanted to take Emo Qingyun as his disciple. This was simply too shocking. People couldn't help but envy Emo Qingyun. This guy's luck was too good. This way, even if Emo Qingyun couldn't become Master Zhao Qi's personal disciple, becoming Master Su Chuan's personal disciple was still something worth celebrating. However, at this moment, everyone was shocked that Su Chuan wanted to take Emo Qingyun as his disciple. Suddenly, a few figures flew down from a tall building in the Alchemist Alliance Guild and landed beside Emo Qingyun. As soon as these figures appeared, someone quickly recognized them. That's Grandmaster Zhao Qi, the Alchemist Alliance's Grandmaster Zhao Qi. Why is he here? It's not just Grandmaster Zhao Qi. President Du Luo is also here. He's a Tier 3 alchemist, just like Grandmaster Zhao Qi. The person beside Grandmaster Zhao Qi and Du Luo seems to be Grandmaster Su Yu, a Tier 3 alchemist. He's also here. After a while, everyone recognized the three figures beside Emo Qingyun. After recognizing these three people, everyone was endlessly shocked in their hearts. The great figures that they normally wouldn't be able to see had actually appeared at this moment. I didn't expect these 3 old guys to be hiding and watching. Looks like I won't have a share in this, kid. When Su Chuan saw the 3 people beside Mo Qingyun, he revealed a trace of depression and smiled bitterly as he muttered to himself. Of course, he knew the real reason why these 3 old guys were here. It was because they had taken a liking to Mo Qingyun's talent. However, it was no wonder that they couldn't sit still. Even pill kings and pill emperors would be tempted by a perfect tier soul strength. Zhao Qi and the other 2 ignored everyone's gazes. When the 3 of them came to Mo Qingyun's side, they looked at Mo Qingyun like a beggar looking at gold. Hee little guy, how are you? You probably don't know me. Let me introduce myself. I'm the president of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. My name is Du Luo. Du Luo rubbed his hands and looked at Mo Qingyun nervously. He smiled and said, I want to take you as my personal disciple. Are you willing? What? President Du Luo wants to take Mo Qingyun as his personal disciple? Hearing Du Luo's words, the surrounding people were shocked. They looked at Mo Qingyun with envy. President Du Luo was not only a Tier 3 alchemist like Zhao Qi, he was also the president of the Alchemist Alliance Guild. If Mo Qingyun became his personal disciple, he would soar to the sky. However, before the crowd could recover from their shock, they saw Zhao Qi staring at Du Luo and saying, Old man, this time I'm taking in a personal disciple. You're not allowed to fight with me. After reprimanding Du Luo, Zhao Qi smiled like a bad uncle coaxing a child. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said, Hee little guy, I'm Zhao Qi. This time I'm taking in a personal disciple. I want to take you as my personal disciple. Are you willing? If you become my personal disciple, there will be many benefits. Zhao Qi was afraid that Mo Qingyun wouldn't agree, so he made another promise to Mo Qingyun. After seeing Zhao Qi's actions, the last Tier 3 middle alchemist, Su Yu, panicked and hurriedly squeezed his way over. Then, Grandmaster Su Yu took out a small red cauldron and said, Little guy, I'm the Tier 3 mid-alchemist Su Yu. This Scarlet Flame Cauldron is a mid-tier profound artifact cauldron. I used it when I was a Tier 2 alchemist. I'm giving it to you now. If you become my personal disciple, there will be more rewards. An alchemist's cauldron was the same as a martial artist's weapon. They were divided into Mortal Artifact, Profound Artifact, Treasure Artifact, Magic Artifact, Spirit Artifact, King Artifact, and Divine Artifact. In addition, each grade was divided into 4 grades: High, Mid, Low, and Peak. After Su Yu finished speaking, as if he was afraid that Mo Qingyun would refuse, he directly stuffed the mid-tier Profound Artifact cauldron into Mo Qingyun's hands. After seeing this scene, everyone was instantly stunned. A mid-tier Profound Artifact was given away just like that? When did a mid-tier Profound Artifact become so worthless? However, at this moment, before everyone could recover from their shock, Zhao Qi at the side glared and took out a pill from his chest. He handed it to Mo Qingyun and said, Qingyun, this is a Tier 3 mid-tier pill, a body-strengthening pill. With your current cultivation, it will be of great help. Consider it as a gift from me to you. Gift from me to you? Grandmaster Zhao Qi, are you trying to force me to do this? Seeing Zhao Qi's actions, everyone at the side was stunned again. They sighed inwardly, what's wrong with all these big shots today? Zhao Qi, you old bastard, Qingyun hasn't agreed yet and you're already shamelessly calling yourself his teacher. After looking at Zhao Qi with disdain, Du Luo revealed a wretched smile. He looked at Mo Qingyun and laughed, Hee Qingyun, right? I don't have anything to give you. This is my identity token, take it. In the future, with this token, as long as your request isn't too excessive, the Alchemist Union will fully support and satisfy you. After seeing Du Luo take out his identity token, not only were the surrounding people stunned, even Zhao Qi, Su Yu and Su Chuan were stunned. Then, Zhao Qi and Su Yu revealed looks of disdain and scolded loudly, Du Luo, you old bastard, you're too shameless. You're abusing your power for personal gain. You actually used the Alchemist Union's president token to trick Qing Yun into becoming your disciple. You're shameless, you're despicable. However, Du Luo didn't care about Zhao Qi and Su Chuan's scolding at all. He even faintly felt proud. The Alchemist Union's president token? The token that Du Luo gave Mo Qingyun just now was the Alchemist Union's president token. After hearing Zhao Qi and Su Chuan's words, the surrounding people immediately beat their chests and stomped their feet. They were speechless to the extreme. Du Luo was indirectly admitting that Mo Qingyun was the next president of the Alchemist Union? These old guys were crazy. For a disciple, they were actually willing to disregard their status. At this moment, such a thought unconsciously appeared in everyone's minds. However, the three old guys didn't care about what the crowd thought at all. They still looked nervously at Mo Qingyun. They were waiting for Mo Qingyun to give them a reply. In their opinion, to be able to accept such a disciple in their lifetime, they didn't live in vain. Chapter 21. Upon seeing the actions of Du Luo and the others, the crowd couldn't help but look at Mo Qingyun enviously. At this moment, everyone's gaze was focused on Mo Qingyun. Everyone held their breaths, waiting to see how this young man would make his choice. Seeing the scene before him, Mo Qingyun felt a little helpless. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. Originally, he only wanted to enter the Alchemist Alliance and become an ordinary member of the Alchemist Alliance. But from the looks of it now, it seemed like his plan was going to fall through. However, Mo Qingyun didn't object to this. After all, this was a good thing for him. With this, it would be much easier for him to travel around Lianyun City in the future. As for the Wu clan, after learning of his identity, they would probably reassess Mo Feilin's position. As for the matter between Mo Feilin and Wu Rou, they wouldn't interfere too much. Mo Qingyun's guess was correct. After seeing this scene, Wu Qing's expression changed drastically. She no longer dared to look at Mo Qingyun with disdain and ridicule in her eyes. Instead, there was a hint of lingering fear in her eyes. Even though Mo Qingyun wasn't strong, and he didn't have a strong background, it was all in the past. Now, if Mo Qingyun chose one of the three old men in front of him, his background and identity would undergo a tremendous change. On top of that, given Mo Qingyun's talent in pill forging, it would be difficult for him to not make a name for himself in the future. Most of the time, when a person's talent reached a certain level, it would instill fear in others. At this moment, just as everyone was waiting anxiously, Mo Qingyun finally spoke up. Elders, this matter is of great importance. I'll have to go back and ask the elders in my clan. Go back and ask the elders in his clan? Hearing Mo Qingyun's reply, everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't expect Mo Qingyun to reply in such a manner. This result was simply too unexpected. If it was an ordinary person, they would have already replied in a hurry. Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Duruo and the other two were also surprised. However, they looked at Mo Qingyun with interest. Anyone with a discerning eye would be able to see that at this moment, the three old men's fondness for Mo Qingyun had increased by a few notches. In the eyes of Du Luo and the others, if an ordinary youth were to encounter such a situation, they would have already lost their minds. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's answer clearly showed that his heart was as clear as a mirror. There was no fluctuation in his emotions at all. From this, it could be seen that Mo Qingyun was far calmer than his peers and had a terrifyingly tenacious temperament. This was extremely rare. It could even be said that his talent in soul strength was not inferior to Mo Qingyun's. No matter how talented a person was, if their temperament was too bad, it would be very difficult for them to achieve great things. That's right, that's right. This matter is indeed of great importance. I have to go back and have a good talk with the elders. Following this, Duruo and the other two repeatedly nodded. Their gazes towards Mo Qingyun were filled with admiration and fondness. Not only do you have to have a good talk with the elders, you can also call them over. As a teacher, I should also have a face-to-face talk with them. Duruo added. Hearing Duruo's words, Zhao Qi and Su Yu immediately became furious. They roared at Duruo, "Old man, what right do you have to talk with Qingyun's elders? Qingyun is my disciple. If you want to talk, you should talk with them." That's right. If you want to talk, you should talk with them. After all, I am his teacher. Su Yu also did not dare to show weakness. Following this, Duruo and the other two old men no longer cared about their image, and began to blow their beards and glare. Seeing the actions of the three old men, everyone was dumbfounded. Were these the high and mighty masters in their hearts? Seeing the actions of the three old men, Su Chuan also revealed a bitter smile. He walked up and said, "President, two grand elders, there are still some juniors who want to test their souls. As for taking Qingyun as a disciple, do you think you can wait a bit?" Humph! After hearing Su Chuan's words, Duruo and the other two old men looked at each other and coldly snorted before walking to the side. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun and Su Chuan both smiled bitterly and walked to the side. Perhaps it was because of what had happened to Mo Qingyun, but the following soul strength tests became dull and boring. Of course, the main reason was that some of the participants were not very talented. Occasionally, there would be a few people with a middle-grade soul strength. Just like this, about 2 hours later, everyone was done with their soul strength test. After all the participants were tested, there were a total of 237 people who met the requirements, far exceeding the Alchemist Alliance's quota of 100 people. Su Chuan was not surprised when he saw this and said, "Congratulations on entering the third round of the assessment. Next, we will prepare some materials for you. Then, according to the quality of the pills you refine, we will determine the final ranking. You will be accepted into the top 100. Refining pills. After hearing Su Chuan's words, everyone's expression changed. Some people revealed worried and nervous expressions. Some people revealed proud and complacent expressions. For example, Yu Taiwan revealed an arrogant expression after hearing Su Chuan's words. In his opinion, if it was a competition of alchemy, he would definitely take first place. While feeling pleased with himself, Yu Taiwan looked at Mo Qingyun and said arrogantly, "Kid, although your soul talent is outstanding, the art of alchemy requires the accumulation of experience over a long period of time. I will definitely defeat you in the alchemy process later, and take first place." Hearing Yu Taiwan's words, the surrounding people's expressions changed. Some of them looked at Mo Qingyun with schadenfreude. Yu Taiwan was a genius of the Yu clan, a first-rate family in Lianyun City. Mo Qingyun had offended Yu Taiwan because of this. Even if he had the support of the Alchemist Alliance, his future would not be easy. In addition, if Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills were not good enough, his position in the hearts of the three old men would immediately plummet. Who do you think is better, that kid's alchemy skills or Yu Taiwan's? Is there a need to ask? Of course it's Yu Taiwan. He's a grade 1 alchemist. The way I see it, not to mention Yu Taiwan, anyone here would be stronger than him. Who knows, he might refine a pile of sh*T later. If that happens, let's see if the three masters will still accept him as a disciple. If the three masters don't accept him as a disciple because of this, he will definitely regret it to death for not agreeing directly. What can he do if he wants to show off? He has to pay the price for showing off. Seeing Yu Taiwan and Mo Qingyun confronting each other, those who had been eliminated in vain were all jealous. At this moment, not only were the surrounding people curious and expectant, but Du Luo and the other two were also curious. "Do you think this kid can refine a grade 1 pill?" Du Luo asked with anticipation. "I'm afraid that's a little difficult. After all, he's not old. He looks like he's 15 or 16 years old. Most people at this age are familiar with medicinal herbs," Zhao Qi said with a serious face. I'm just a little worried. He hasn't come into contact with alchemy at all. Suyu also had a worried face. If that's the case, the third round will be a little unfair to him. After hearing Suyu's words, Du Luo and the other two fell silent. Each of them had their own thoughts. After a moment of silence, Zhao Qi spoke first. No matter what, I've already decided on this kid. If his alchemy ability isn't enough, he can be nurtured. His soul talent can't be changed. Hearing Zhao Qi's words, Du Luo suddenly panicked and said, Old man, if this kid doesn't pass this round, it means that he's not qualified. Then you won't have the qualifications to accept him. Then, Suyu said with a playful smile, if that's the case, I hope that this kid's performance in the third round will be as bad as possible. Hearing the three old men's words, Su Chuan's forehead suddenly broke out in cold sweat. These three old men had completely lost their mind. In addition, if Mo Qingyun heard the three old men's words, he would probably be speechless. In order to accept him as a disciple, the two old men actually hoped that he would perform as bad as possible. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.